it's like, looks like you're ready. I'm like, yeah, I'm ready. There's a pop down. Anyway, we're live and people don't need to know that. What's up, everybody? I'm so excited today. I have a really great guest and we're going to have a very interesting conversation. I can already tell, but before we get started, I'm going to stick to my usual routine and I'm going to say a quote. And this quote today is from the Bible. For truly I say to you that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see those things which you see and have not seen them. And that's Matthew 13:17. I'm not sure which flavor it's from of the Bible. I mean, version. Sorry, guys. I'm not trying to be insensitive. No, I'm not sure what.
The flavor, which flavor you choose, which
Yeah.
abbreviations you like.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that one kind of has the message in there that it's like timeless, even though they change the words around. Anyway, my guest today is Awesome Austin of the MellowDome. Do you guys call it a show or a podcast? MellowDome show, right?
It's show, podcast, stream, whatever you want to call it. It's
as long as you watch it, you can call it whatever you want. Yeah.
It's a good time, that's for sure. You know.
Yeah.
MellowDome.live. Take you there.
Go.
Yeah, we got a lot going on.
Is that the best place for them to get your
yeah, MellowDome.live. There's links there to my Rockfin, YouTube. I do some TikTok. There's a link for TikTok for the people who enjoy that. I know a lot of people don't. But the ones that do, gotta get that next generation. And then there's links to Patreon. I got a merch store that's ran here at the house by my beautiful wife. She prints, presses, and ships them out.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, there's a link to a Telegram group, over 170 people and growing. A lot of great people over there. And then, MellowDome, man, we do a lot of things over there. We got every Sunday we do an Awake and Baked, where it's me and James from Grounded Extracts, Mike from THC Show, and Chris from FMX Editing. Basically just covering current events and things like that and keeping it real and, smoking the herb, putting the herb in the air together, MellowDome style. And then,
how dare you, by the way, because I watched Sunday for a little while and I was telling you before we started the stream, but I used to smoke weed daily. And then I took a month off on 420 this year. I ran out of weed and I'm like, that's a sign. So I took a month off and now I smoke maybe once a week, a couple times a week, just depends, but at night. And I haven't wake and baked till then. And then it was Sunday and I had DJ'd weddings Friday and Saturday. And Sunday was just kind of my chill day. And I woke up and I saw that. So I was looking at watching you guys and I only got I fell asleep at 3 a.m. because I got home late and then I just, you know how it goes. Or maybe it was whatever it was late and I woke up. I didn't get much sleep really. Well, I guess 5 hours, something like that. And then I was hanging out and then I saw you guys live. So I was like, I'm going to wake and bake too. So I did. Nice. You guys are bad influences.
Yes. Come to the Wake and Bakes. But we do really all kinds of things, man. I do smoke weed, but I will tell you that did help me get out of other addictions that I did have with some hardcore drugs, meth, heroin, pharmaceuticals, of course, is where all that started. And so I shared my story of breaking those chains. Is what I like to call that. We do a series called Breaking the Chains. I shared my story, gave my testimony out, hoping it would reach others like me who are people who are considered themselves to be in an awakening and have a history of past addictions and chains that they've broken. Maybe they feel like there's not a lot of other people out there like themselves. Well, Breaking the Chains is that. It's like a group therapy, honestly. When I shared my story, I know I'm sharing it to the whole world, but when I did that and the feedback I got was just so overwhelming that I knew I was doing something good that was putting good back out into the world. So it turned into a thing and other people who watched it would reach out and they're like, hey, I'd like to come on and share my story. So it turned into that. Now we're going to have volume number 7 tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern, Breaking the Chains with a friend of mine named Doug, who's been in the chats. He's a supporter of the MellowDome. and he's going to come on and give his story, his testimony. And you know, it's a good thing. We do all kinds of things over there. It's the MellowDome's been a good place, man. I feel like it's a place, for everyone. Honestly, that's what I want, not just for people who consider themselves truthers or anything. I want anyone to come there, stimulate their mind, enjoy a conversation, and kick it with like-minded individuals. Peace and love, baby. I dig what you do, man. That's why I had you and Sharon on the show. I seen the show you had when you guys brought James on, and I vibed with you guys big time. I really like your outlook on a lot of things. So I appreciate you having me on your show, man. Thank you.
Yeah. Big shout out to the Over Sharon show. I do it with my friend Sharon. It's right on this channel. Go to morelawsmoreproblems.com, click on the Over Sharon tab, and you can get all the lovely Over Sharon you want. Yeah, I really I don't know if you know this, but it seems like I'm, nothing. I'm just like one of these people that's over it, and I'm just like talking about stuff. And I've been doing this for so long. But like when you asked me on your show to be live, I was so excited because I hadn't been live in so long. And I was like, it's going to be a new audience. It's people that I know are like-minded. And if James is on it, I had a really good time with James on the Over Sharon show. But no, I just was really excited. And it was funny because Sharon was nervous, which I totally get because I remember the first time I went live and all this stuff. And also she's going to be on with 3 guys that have been doing this a while, and we're just all legends, if I may say so. So yes, I get it, but she did really well. I think she was really cool, so I'm excited.
She crushed, man. That was an awesome show. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, we went live with the Over Sharon show on the 11th day of September. Is that how you say it without getting in trouble?
Yeah, right.
That's Sunday, and we talked about some stuff, and it was really, really exciting. And yeah, it was cool. She's really cool. But back to you. So how long have you been recording, and what the hell like made you do it?
Yeah, so I've been doing this for,
and this is the reason I ask, right? Not to, but a lot of people I feel can be doing this that aren't doing it. And, I feel like it's a really help, because what I think is happening is I think, media used to be everybody watched the same TV show. I remember, I'm 46. I remember when everybody talked about all that stuff, right? But now people get their, I don't know if you want to call it entertainment and information and all this stuff. That's kind of what we do. We entertain and inform you, and you do the same.
Very
and
true.
They get it all from different sources. So there's never been a better time. So, if that's what you feel, we were talking about this yesterday with the wood shop concerning writing, because it really, it's hard to explain to people, but it's kind of like what you were looking for before in your addiction, or I'll just speak for myself, or what someone looks for in an addiction, just even food sometimes, or driving fast, or getting a motorcycle, or all these things, even drugs, cigarettes. But you can get that same feeling and more, and you feel better about yourself when you're done, because you actually did something that you're here to do. Could it be, right? So you get this feeling, and that's the same feeling that I think people are searching for. And it's a way to get it. I know when I started doing comedy, that's what really catapulted me into it. But what started you into it?
Yeah. I agree with you, because I feel like, on that note of saying, a lot of people could be doing this, but don't. Shout out to people like James and Najla. I feel like them two people would love that dynamic right there. Them just going live and sharing their thoughts and stuff. Or like my boy Chris from FMX Editing, I'm encouraging him. He just started a live stream called Strange Realm. I love, because I have conversations with these people, and I appreciate their opinions and things like that. And I just feel like there's a lot of people out there that just, if they were to turn a camera on, share their thoughts, it could create this dialogue for them and this discourse, and then it could be a thing for them, and it just grows. It just adds to this extended community that is being built here, because there's so many differences going on, and ideas being shared, but we all do have this common ground where we don't want to be messed with. we all realize that we've been fed a lot of lies in our childhood, and we're trying to unlearn and relearn. And there's yeah, so anyways, I'm rambling off. So
No, please go. You're fucking killing
it. I started this, well, like the addictions. So me and my wife, we were heavy into addictions. And we both got clean together. You know, I don't need to get in all the details. Go to Breaking the Chains if you want to get into the details. Go check them out. It's a great playlist over there on my YouTube channel. Yeah. So, anyways, we got clean, and I was on this journey. Only been a couple months sober, and it's like I just wanted to share what I felt, because what I felt was just it's hard to explain. I just felt like a sense of accomplishment, because when I was in addiction, I knew I remember battling with myself, like even within the mirrors, like in the bathroom and stuff, even with like a line on the counter in front of me, like that, like I knew I was better than this. I'm better than this. I'm better than this shit. You know, I battled with myself. I knew I was better than all that, but I thought I would die like that. But then I didn't. And at the same time, you know, I was always been into conspiracies and hidden truths and all that. And, you know, I was never one to really trust the government. And, you know, I was all into the Rockefellers already at the time. And, you know, 7-Eleven and all that. The 7-Eleven and Honky Donkey Buildy 7. But yeah, all that stuff I knew about. But honestly, at that same time, I did get hooked on something like flat Earth. You know, just questioning where I live, because I was a huge space boy, you know, and so yeah, that really just sparked more of an interest to me, ask questions. And then at that same time, I lost my mom due to the medical industry. You know, they're like, you got cancer, and then she dies from the cancer treatment. You know how it goes. But
yeah, no, I know what you mean though.
Yeah, so that fueled more. And then we had children. You know, you learning about that medical industry. So we stopped doing certain things with them. And all of this was happening at once, you know, for me and my wife. And then finding out the food and things that are in certain products, being more self-aware of those items, and, you know, and even taking the fluoride out of our toothpaste and the aluminum out of our deodorant, and so many things that we've never ever thought about. We just started thinking at a higher conscious level. I feel like we started vibrating differently, and it just was a whole nother level. It was unexplainable. We were living a hell, a literal hell. And we pulled ourselves out of it, and now we're here creating a heaven on earth for ourselves. And we just want to set that tone and put it out. And that's my intentions. I went to a couple events. One was Solar Return, and I met an awesome guy named Christian Knapp. Shout out Christian Knapp. And I met him there. And he's like, bro, we should do a show together, right? And so the MellowDome was first born. We started doing some shows.
What year was this, did you say?
This was not even 2 years ago.
All right.
Yeah. Not even 2 years ago. And me and him were doing some shows together. Then he stepped away. James, at that same time, I did my first Breaking the Chains. And James was the first guest. I believe he was the first or the second. But it was around that same time. And then I resonated with him so much because his story was very similar to mine. Many synchronicities between me and him. It's pretty wild. So I wanted to bring him on, and him to, you know, to do this with me. And what I was trying to do was just put out my story. And then at the same time, I'm learning. Like, I'm not trying to be anybody's truth guru. I feel like there's kind of this psyop that there becomes like this truth guru, and then shit becomes a little culty. I'm not trying to do that, because I don't know. I'm here to learn. I'm here relearning, unlearning, and I'm along with the same journey as many others, you know? So I'm just trying to create an environment for people like that, because before I turned the camera on, I was one of the people in the chats. I got many friends, people I consider friends, that I see in the chats. And then all of a sudden I started doing my own thing. Now I'm on the other spectrum. And this just comes from a genuine place, honestly. And it's just a beautiful thing that's happening right now. I'm really enjoying it. Meeting a lot of great people in this process, creating relationships, you know. It's not always about what you know, but it's who you know, and just trying to, I support entrepreneurship, and I'm trying to be my own boss. I'm a bartender, work 5 days a week, and my wife stays home and homeschools the children, so yeah, rambling. Sorry, guy.
No, dude,
All right.
that's listen, the Over Sharon show is about Over Sharon, but this show, I just everybody knows about me that watches the show. So they're probably sick of me rambling on about self-work and healing yourself and why you being a victim. So
Dude,
they
that's
want to
what
hear.
it's all about, though, right?
Oh
Like
yeah, dude.
self-work and understanding, and because you come along a lot of these truths. And personally, for me, with my experience, it was like, okay, so you come across a lot of these things that you find out were lies. You don't necessarily find out the truth, but you find out that something was a lie. And I don't know, it does something to you if you really, you take all of these, and it's like, how can you better your life about it? Like, how do you create a better life with all of this knowledge? A lot of people will start getting all doom and gloom and like, oh, it's done, it's over with, the world's fucked, or there'll be screaming truths that people like, why don't you listen? When really I feel like it's just more of a self journey and something that should just free you from your chains and whatever you got going on, because there's a lot of psychological warfare going on out there that so many people are lost. They're disconnected, and I feel that, going on now, like you said before we went live, you said everything's moving fast, and they're either spiraling up really fast or spiraling down really fast. And these past few years, man, I feel like me and my wife, my family, the little dynamic that we have, it's been spiraling up very fast. We see what appears to be the world crumbling around us. I don't,
Yeah.
what appears to be, I say appear because that's what they try to push out there. But then at the same time, everything's still great where I'm at. There is a hurricane on the way, but we had a hurricane party, so we ain't worried. So, yeah.
Oh, dude, yeah, that's awesome, man. The hurricane thing is hilarious because it's like, well, we had a few up here that were I remember in 85 we had Gloria. So
where are you at?
I'm an old veteran, Connecticut.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
And
Yeah, they make it up there a lot. And this one could go up there, they say. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, a giant dick. I was watching
Yeah.
Ellen Benson earlier, and he was showing how they're all just giant dicks. It's hilarious.
Limp dick and then a hard dick.
Yeah, exactly. But I feel like I'm not sure where you're at with because I did talk to you a little bit, but I don't know your whole like worldview. The way that I look at it now, because I went through like a giant evolution with the way that, just with my worldview, I guess you could say. And now I look at it as it's kind of meant to be the way it is. And it's working out exactly how it's supposed to work out according to the creator or God or the all, whatever you want to call it. There's some kind of plan that we can't perceive because we only live for a certain amount of time, 120 years at least. And then, speaking for giants in general, I don't know about the rest of you guys, but because I'm 6'5", so I'm like a dwarf giant. I'm almost there. But I think that because with that limited view, we can't see the big grand plan. And I feel the way that this works, and I don't like to make claims, but if we have some kind of reincarnation going on, and there's a veil of forgetfulness after we cross back into this life when we're born, I think it's for a reason. Because I think that's how you can do the real work. Because if you realized that it didn't matter as much as you think it does, then you might just sit around all day and do nothing.
Yeah. Yes, dude. Okay, so I've said this before. I might have said it with you when you guys were over on the MellowDome. But sometimes that thought of reincarnation to me can seem like a nightmare. And then also for me, it sparks that, the time is now. You want to, like there's this psyop, I think, in Christianity, in like the churchian Christianity, right? The every Sunday to the church that has the Starbucks, blah, 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 that type of stuff. It's like, man, I just totally lost my train of thought.
Talking about the way that people think that they're worried about the future, basically like heaven and hell. And all that
Yeah, yeah,
concept.
yeah. Oh yeah, they tell them that well, live a good life so you can go to heaven. Live a good life right now so you go to heaven. And then you hear a lot of Christians, they actually want the end to come. Like, oh, I can't wait for the end to be here and we can all ascend and go on. And it's like you're missing the whole point. Right now, you could do that now. We can create, heaven on earth right now. Why? That's the whole psyop of waiting because this one's already done and over with. I think that's the whole, they got you. They got
Yeah.
you right there.
Be careful. They're going to nail you to a cross. Yeah,
Right.
no, you're exactly
Like the end
100%
times
right.
have been going on forever. I've been hearing of that. I've been hearing of FEMA camps since fucking school. Shout out to my boy Rob Cleveland.
FEMA camps.
My boy Rob, he even says that, he remembers that since middle school. Who doesn't remember hearing about FEMA camps since like
Well,
middle school, grade school?
the FEMA camps are real. They're just not what we've been told in the truther community.
Yes, right. They're already established. Like our homes are going to be our FEMA camps. You know what I'm saying?
Well, what I mean is those FEMA camps that they showed, those physically exist, but they're for a different reason. Those things, you don't get dragged there. You run there. That's like Owen Benjamin would always say, and I keep talking about it, but he's like, you want to know how to not go to a FEMA camp? And he goes, just turn around and walk the other way. He's like, people that can't handle an economic or let's just say it like this, like there's a fall of Rome, like societies, they say strong men create good societies create weak men create bad times create strong men, right?
I absolutely believe that. Yeah,
we're in the weak men create bad times.
Yep.
So it's really possible that our standard of living might even drop down, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are embracing it, and those are the ones who are spiraling up, So I think in that regard, they're really there's nothing to be afraid of for people who are watching this show, I think it's onward to better because we always wanted to think about it. A lot of us, even people probably watching this, always wanted to live in simpler times. You watch the Westerns and you'd be like, man, what a simpler time, except they didn't have penicillin. Now you find out penicillin's probably a psyop. So you're like, oh, we could just make extracts and we could use our belief to cure ourselves. If we figure it out, we just got to find something.
Are you telling me my power of intent is real, bro?
I mean, this is a comedy show, these are jokes. But yeah, no, I think that it's the times that we want to have come are coming, but then the people who are driving their Corvettes, they're going to be like, ah, shit. And they're going to run toward a FEMA camp and be like, please feed me. I don't know what to do.
Right.
People like us are going to be like, I guess we're hunting squirrels today,
Right. That's just like right now down here with the hurricane, a lot of people are tripping. And there's already no water or no gas. Well, I'm straight because I've already had water. I already got food, because I'm not expecting the worst, but I am prepared. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but I already had all that stuff, not for a hurricane, just for anything in general, Shout out to Rico in the chat. He sent me some 90 meals, some doomsday prepper packs, nice, the 5-gallon jugs and stuff. And we already have a bunch of water. My wife is always getting water. So it's amazing. We just gotta roll with the punches. That's what I'm here for. I'm just here to have a good time, man, and learn new things. There's so many new things that I've learned over these past few years. It's mind blowing. Hard to retain so much of it. I always go back to it. You gotta, oh yeah, that's right. I remember that, realizing that, even the luminaries above have more of an impact, I would say, like in our lives. I don't know about impact, but maybe an influence, maybe. Yeah, it's just wild, man. I have a totally different perspective and outlook on this whole realm. I never even thought of it as a realm before. And so now, like I was talking to my wife a couple hours ago, what really is a few miles below? Like what is this place? How far is this place holding matter, until it's not holding actual matter anymore? Where's the bottom of this place? It's just it's pretty mind-blowing because I no longer think of that spinning ball. The idea of China is below you. I don't know, man. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, I hear you, man. And I've been talking about Realm Earth a lot lately because I feel like there's no way for us to understand what it actually is. And that's kind
Yeah.
of what scares a lot of people because they want to have control, because without knowing that they live on a solid ball or a solid flat surface or in a computer simulation, without knowing that, they don't have control. And it's like, guess what, guys? You don't have control.
All
You
right.
do have control on what you choose to do with your own action, and
Let me
that's
ask you
you.
something, man. So I think this is a good question for you, or a thought. Maybe can spark up a good little convo. But so the idea of a simulation, so when we look at video games today, they're all these fantastical, great worlds, right? And then you got games like Sim, which is like a carbon copy of the world. It's not too fantastical. You're shitting, you're bathing, you're eating, whatever. Um, and so when you apply that thought of these people creating these worlds, and then you think of something creating this world, right? Uh, it's like no one makes a shittier world. Everyone makes this more fantastical world. So when you apply that, like, video games, every game is more fantastical than the reality that we live in. No one's creating a game that is shittier than the world we're in. No one's going to play it, and so when you apply that to being creative and creatively creating something, and this world being created would be more fantastical than the world that's outside of here. And then you go back to like the movie The Matrix, where it showed the real world, how it was like destroyed and no sun and all that stuff. So what do you think about that? Like if this place was created, and like if you were to apply that idea of when you create something, you're going to create something more greater than what you already have, or maybe a carbon copy. Maybe it's a carbon copy. Maybe this is something else outside of here. What are your thoughts on all that?
All right. I love that because
Yes.
you ever play Halo?
Yes.
Do you ever
Killing
play it
spree.
on?
Killing spree.
Yeah, exactly. You ever play the actual game?
The first one?
No, I mean, did you ever play like any of the levels, or did you just do online with other people? Did
No,
you
the
ever play
story
the
mode was
story?
awesome. The first ones I did. The first ones. Like the
Yeah,
first
okay.
three.
All right, that's good enough. So did you start on easy and go to like legendary, or what did you do?
Bro, I didn't make it legendary.
But did you start easy and then try to make it harder at all?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Well,
Probably.
so the reason I bring it up is because if you try to play things, I know in my experience, I'd play a level and I really like the game, so I want to play it again. So I'd make it harder, and then I would try legendary. And yeah, you get your ass kicked, but I would still kind of try it, right? And just to see. But I tried the hardest level that I could do. And I think that if that's true of me, as above, so below, I think that this is level hard right now. We're in the movie part of the Matrix where the action's going on. Neo's fighting. We're not in the time before the Matrix where it was New York City and everybody didn't realize it was asleep and there was only a couple of people, you know what I mean? Like we're in that the crescendo, of the story of this world right now. And I think it repeats, there's loops or whatever in cycles. And I think that
Yeah.
sometimes they're easier times and sometimes they're simpler and less challenging, I'll say. But you also have to think about, I mean, I could say that too, but I'm not saying that the past was a piece of cake. People had to work really hard, but we're coming off of, I think, a really high easy time, and we're going into hard mode. So it's how you look at it. So if you look at it from that point of view, you could say, well, maybe we're here to train ourselves to be better, so then we could bring on that heaven, not like a hippie way or like or like a utopia way, but more like just a way that we think smaller pockets of us are kind of living that anyway, but as a
Right.
whole we can live that way. And I think that because of that, right now we're just doing the hard work. I think it's actually getting better. I think these quote unquote controllers know it because of the sky clock. I think it's a reflection of what's going on down here. So it could be seen to influence, and you can actually gain a lot of it, but I don't think there's like some kind of influencers, but who knows? I don't know. I'm just, this is just, we're just Over Sharon. It's not even Over Sharon. So anyway, because of that, I think the controllers see that more people are going to wake up at this moment. And so that's why they're.
Do you think they are doing it crazy to wake people up? Like,
well, that's the other level, right? Okay, so that's funny you said that, because that's the thought. We must be communicating telepathically, because I had that thought popping in my head too. Because the other way to look at it is a lot of these controllers are trying to wake us up. I think maybe there's two factions. Maybe one of the factions doesn't know that's what's going on, or at different levels they're like, oh, we're gonna get these people. But I think at the top of a lot of these structures, and maybe they're even like opposed to each other, they think they're opposed, but I think some of these people are like merry pranksters, like it's what James True would say, whatever.
Yeah, they're tweaking the consciousness, like they're
lifting
it almost,
It's like they're trying to get everybody to rock bottom, just like a addict, because I was also an addict, but not of a substance. If you ever want to have me on your show, I'm not like trying to invite myself, but that'd be a crazy topic to talk about, like severe intimacy issues and sex addiction and all that stuff, because I could, but anyway,
shit, we can do it, bro. Breaking the chains there's all kinds of chains, my guy.
Yeah, and a lot of people think that, because I used to think it was just bullshit. Like I was like, oh, it's just an excuse for a guy to bang a lot of chicks. But then I went through this whole awakening, I guess you could say, and I see the world much differently now. So
yeah,
I think that because I had to hit that rock bottom that I hit, it wasn't a dude. No, no, I think it just started to feel empty after a while. And see, I'm a comedian, I know you guys are thinking, I say rock bottom. Sharon the other day was talking on the show about how, I forget what word she was using, but it was like not naughty, but it was kind of like, oh, she was talking about going on the trip to Bearfest, and she was going to be more, the word wasn't open. Oh, more risky. She's like, I want to try to, because she felt like she's going to find a guy and she wanted to be more risky. And I'm like, and I stopped. I'm like, hang on, Sharon, let me just, risky means different things to different people. Just risky with your love and your heart. And she's like, oh yeah. Thank you. It was so funny. I'm like, Sharon, these people are going to think you were trying to hoe it up at the, no, it was
fine. You want to go there and get laid.
Yeah, it was a good laugh, but no, she meant like risky with her. And that's the thing about her. She's so innocent in a lot of ways because of her. She basically grew up under a rock, as she says. And I was like, I grew up under a crack rock, like not literal crack, but like definitely, a lot of weed around me growing up, some cocaine. I didn't really see it, but after now hearing stories, allegedly it was like everyone was like, yeah, when I was growing up. But anyway, so it's an interesting dynamic because of that. But anyway, getting back to what I was saying, I had to hit my rock bottom in order to then want to change, just like any addict, they find something. I wanted to ask you that too. So one of my friends was a heroin addict, and I grew up with him, and he I think he didn't get into it until like his late 30s or something, and it screwed up his life. He was married with 2 kids. He was really slick though. Like his wife didn't even know he was doing it. Like he was because he's a hustler, like not in a bad way. What I mean hustler, like he can get a job and he's a hard worker and he knows how to talk. You get it, right? So and anyway, he went to rehab a couple times, like in another state and all this stuff. And then he still kept using, and then he almost died. And as he kind of like woke up or whatever it was, and it was like in a shady area. So, he passed out in his truck and all this stuff. And when he woke up, he thought he was going to die, or he thought could have died. And he thought of his kids immediately, not wanting them to grow up without a father. And it just switched something in him. He still used a couple times, but then he had me drive him up to a place closer to here. It was like 2 hours away. And then it was right before this guy couldn't have picked a better time. it was like January of 2020, and he got out in
Oh
like
man.
March, like 3rd. He had like a week before this
Woo!
whole, but he pulled through because he found a reason now and a different purpose in life, and he found meaning, and it was like it was like he used to like baseball cards a lot, and then all of a sudden he hit an age and he was on the bus with a girl, and he's like, whoa, and then he doesn't care about Mickey Mantle anymore, like it's that same kind of thing. So what was that moment for you? Or
Um,
what was that
it
thing?
was
I
like
mean,
a combination of things, honestly.
yeah, God.
It was on the verge of losing my two children at the time. Having nowhere to live. My mom died. And then she died like me being this like piece of shit junkie failure, right? So like that was like horrible weighing on me at the time. Uh fuck, like, it messed me up hardcore. Like he's pretty psychologically. I beat myself up for that. But so all that was going on. And then really, if it wasn't for my wife, shout out to my wife Kaylee, love her to death. If it wasn't for her stepping up, and she went to this methadone clinic, and she came back home, and she's like, first we got on heroin just because we couldn't afford pills on the streets, right? So it was a cheaper alternative, and it was a stronger high, it lasted longer, right? At the same time, I'm losing friends because they're switching, and like, they're dropping like flies. I got a best friend named Will I grew up with, died, overdosed, and I'm still using with that in the back of my mind, right? But yeah, so she goes and she comes home and she's like, I'm not buying anything. I'm not going to get anything. You can come with me tomorrow, or you can stay here and be sick, right? So I was mad at her at that time. I was so fucking mad. Like, how dare you? How fucking dare you?
How dare
Right?
you?
Right. And but I went next morning, and immediately I picked up on their process and what they do. So made sure that like I was not about to let them jack me up high, right? So I think I was like 30 or 35. And I was able to get off. I stopped using all that other stuff, right? But then I would start weaning myself off of the methadone. And then that took like over a year to do using Kratom. At that time, my neighbor, who I got pretty close with because he seen me changing my life, and then because he lived next to us for years, and it was actually where I was at was my parents' house because my mom passed away, my dad couldn't afford the bills, so no other siblings could move in with him. I had nowhere to go, so I moved in there with him, and then so that also gave us kind of an opportunity to work things out. And then so we had neighbors on the either side of us for years, you know. And so he helped me out with Kratom, and that does wonders. By the way, if you guys don't know what that is, check that out. Just check it out. Just saying.
KRAMTO. Wait, no, how do you spell it?
KRATOM.
There you go.
KRATOM. Yeah, and it's a tree. It's a leaf of a tree. But yeah, so I was able to quit the methadone clinic. Actually, they treated me so well. That place is so like there's so many people that use that place for wrong reasons. It's just another money maker. Imagine if we had clinics that actually had things like iboga that could actually help people, and then they could walk away completely scot-free, but they want to return customer, so you end up getting hooked on methadone and stuff, right? But I use Kratom and I use cannabis, right? That's what happened. I stopped using cannabis when I got pulled over when I was 19. It scared me straight, stopped using it. And then like 7 years later, I get hooked on pharmaceuticals, you know? And then it's cannabis that helped me get out of it, right? It took two plants, two leaves, to get me out of that, to help me get out of it because, I'm I'm gonna be as honest, once an addict, always an addict kind of mindset. Necessarily, I don't think that way anymore because I don't have any urges like at all. I guess if I put myself in that environment again, I don't know, but I took myself out of that environment. It is person, places, and things, by the way. So, but yeah, where was I going with all that? So it was a combination of things. My mom, on the verge of so many things, like losing my family, nowhere to go, right? And then all of these things happened. My dad needed me to move in, and then he actually got sick and passed away. They gave him some expiration date. He embraced it. Mom wasn't there no more. So, um, yeah, man, just a bunch of things. Really, shout out to my wife for pulling the trigger on that. You know, if she wouldn't have done that, I don't know where we would have been. And then that got me on the right mindset. And then also, I forced myself to go to these meetings that all these people at this clinic dreaded, right? Like because they would make it a requirement. But I actually liked going because I completely embraced the program. I know it sounds corny to some and whatever, but I completely embraced it, and it felt good releasing my thoughts and about everything that happened the past few years. I was addicted for over 8 years on all that dope, so it was good to get it out. And that was the original origin of breaking the chains, because I wanted to share that to the whole world, because I still have friends that I was going to those meetings with that are also on an awakening, because I've shared some information with them that helped them along their journey. We still keep in contact, and they're still crushing at life. Relationships that I had with these people in these meetings, so I mean, I even have books right here. I've been looking to go get myself certified as a addictions counselor in the state of Florida, because I want to flip that and put that energy back out, like transmutate all those years of negativity and put it out there. I've been rambling like crazy, bro. I'm stoned right now, and that triggers people too that I do this while smoking a joint.
Yeah, it's hilarious, dude. I'm just putting a poll in here into the chat because I'm gonna see what they want to ask. We should talk about next, but I think that kind of brings us back to that made me want to say that all this negative stuff that you went through, it made you like a warrior now. You're basically like a warrior in a culture war, really, right? And because of that, now you have this voice, and I think what you went through made you better. And now that you basically transmuted all that negative stuff, you took lead and turned it into gold, literally.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I have to take that good with that bad, the good and the dark, both, the duality, and bring it back together. And this is what you got right here. You have to take in both. I got both spectrums of living. I feel like I was putting out a lot of negative energy at those times. People, I don't even, it takes it, my whole outlook is so different. I feel like these entities of like God or Satan, like when I was deep in my addictions, I was putting out that frequency, God and Satan both live within, whichever you feed the most will win. So at those times, I was feeding that negative energy. And so I was living a hell, right? And then now I've, through the past few years, been transferring that and changing my mindset, being more self-aware of my diet. Not saying it's perfect, but it's way better than what it was a few years ago. Going for runs with my wife. We take turns going down to the gym, right? Doing all these things, replacing other habits with healthier habits. Yeah, I don't know. It's it's a quite an experience, and I'm enjoying this journey, and I'm very grateful. I did not expect to be here, the days I'm in the mirror like I'm better than this. I never would have thought that all these years later I'm doing this, with a voice and a platform, trying to make a better world, because that's what I want. Because now my main goal, my mindset is my 3 boys, right? I need to give them all the tools and skills they need to navigate this realm that we live in, because this future that's coming for them is something that, it's going to be a difficult one, especially if I'm raising them and homeschooling them and they're not going along with the status quo. Absolutely. So we need to raise warriors. We need to sharpen those blades. Imagine, we were given all this information when we were already grown adults. Imagine these tools that they can be given when they're young and how they can cultivate that when they're 20. They will be so far ahead of the curve. It's scary. It's scary. We'll be crushing in 10 years. My boys will be crushing. My 10-year-old will be crushing at 20 years old,
Oh yeah, dude. It'll be like a World War II, but not having to go through World War II, like that grit. They're gonna have grit. And that's why I see that this is actually getting better. That's my evidence for that, because I see that in a lot of different communities, the flat community, the Bears, people that listen to Crow.
I love Crow.
Yeah.
I love that stuff, man. I'm even I haven't done it yet because I don't think my 10-year-old, there's a couple episodes I want to share with them, but I'm even thinking about starting episode 1 when my son turns like 12 or 13, and we're just going to digest some of that. Yeah, I like Crow. A lot of great knowledge on there. A lot of good information to take in.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, you can get a college better than a college education. You get education in truth.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Just from the internet. If you, if you know what you're doing, it's an amazing tool. And that's why people say like they hate technology or whatever, but it's like, it's just a tool, man. Like, it could be used for all kinds of bad stuff. And I think right now it's really being utilized for a lot of people to make themselves better, which is great.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It can be toxic. Even within these communities, and I try not, I don't, I try not to do that. I don't want to really partake in that. And it's just all peace and love on my end. We got Flattoberfest coming up. Looking forward to hanging out with James and Mike in person, and Chris and Shelly, a few other people in the chat.
How can people, if they want to go to Flattoberfest?
FlatEarthFestivals.com. FlatEarthFestivals.com. Tickets there. The event is ran by Karen B. It's a great time. I've been to a couple of them. Solar Return, Flattoberfest. They are awesome. Honestly, probably some of the best weekends I've had, besides obviously a few things in my personal life. But those were like honestly great fucking times. I met a lot of great people. I met people that I consider part of like my soul tribe. Like, there's an extended family, like let's call it a shit hit the fan family. If like shit were to hit the fan, there's a few people like I would really want in my group, you know what I'm saying? And there's just a lot of great people that to meet there, and it's a good time. I'm really looking forward to it, that's for sure. The energy is amazing there.
Yeah,
FlatEarthFestivals.com.
And it's in South Carolina, right?
South Carolina, Greenville, South Carolina, October 21st to the 23rd. There's a park across the street everyone's gonna be hanging out at. There'll be karaoke. There's gonna be presentations there. There's gonna be live music. There's gonna be people with booths. Grounded Extracts will have a booth. We'll have limited edition t-shirts there. You'll get a Flattoberfest t-shirt if you buy a shirt, or if you buy a ticket on the Flat Earth Festival's website, you'll get a Flattoberfest t-shirt made for you. It's a great time, man. It's a great city. Greenville is awesome, dude. And they have like all these old buildings that, it's just a beautiful place. Beautiful.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Like the ones that they call them the mud flood buildings, you know what I'm talking about? I don't necessarily think, dude, like that's what I'm saying. Like, even this Tartaria stuff, mud flood stuff, I looked at it one way, like even a year and a half ago to now is a completely different look at it. I'm constantly challenging my beliefs, rethinking things, getting, coming across new information. I'm really trying to stay away from dogmas. I don't want to like turn anything into a dogma. I'm here to learn and just take anything in.
Have you been watching Ewar's new stuff with Wood Nichols?
Yeah, yeah, that's where I got that thought of the realm. If this place is fantastical, then maybe the place that's outside of here isn't as great. That's where I originally heard that, I think. But yeah, people call them controlled opposition now because they're backtracking, and it's just a different perspective, and I appreciate their perspective. I enjoy it. It's not so much of the echo chamber because everything else you get the same thing everywhere else. It's just people pulling up pictures or paintings and like, oh, yep, look, ballooning. Oh, yep, look. Oh, look at this waterfall. It's ancient plumbing system to this building. Like they just gets a little fantasy based. But I do think there is something to it. I don't think Tartaria is worldwide. I think it's more northern Russia region. I do think there's something to them hiding some history. These Gothic cathedrals are amazing, and I think there's something to them with frequency and resonance. The way they're built and this, the roofs and the cymatics, just all that stuff. With the organs playing, I think there's a lot to that.
I think they were built during the vapor canopy.
Vapor canopy, what's that?
Oh man! All right, before we get into that, holy crap! Do you know about bushwhacking history in Buffalo? You ever watch that channel?
No.
Oh, dude, here I'm going to share this really quick. This guy I met through BTA. He is a legend. You also get to see what else I watch. So bushwhacking history in Buffalo. He's from Buffalo. He does like boots on the ground stuff there, and he's looking at all kinds of like old buildings and all this stuff. And I've interacted with him before. He's really cool. I talked to him, trying to get him on the show or something. But he's like, he has kids and stuff, or he has a daughter. So, and he works a full-time job. So it's, it's tough, but really good stuff. He did something with David Weiss, so if you guys are flat earthers, he's very friendly with that. He had David Weiss on. I'll just say that. And it wasn't an argument.
Hell yeah.
Go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I was just saying, I just subbed to his channel.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Everybody check him out. Let him know that I sent you.
I really wish I didn't call myself a flat earther. I feel like I should just take certain stickers off because I feel like I really cut myself off at the knees labeling myself a flat earther,
Oh yeah. It's really smart to do.
Because I'm you know what? Because man, I don't think a lot of the same things that flat earthers think. Like I feel like a lot of people have lost their fucking minds.
Come on. You're joking, right?
So, but yeah, I just wish I didn't do that, No, I'm not trying to like talk shit, but we all know that some people, some of these I just don't agree with. I don't agree with some of these crazy theories. And, I feel like all of a sudden these conspiracy theories have been called truths, and I do think there is some truths out there. Don't get me wrong. Absolutely. Especially during the past 2 years. But now everything's an ultimate truth and I have the truth and you're not saying the right truth. And, that's the part I don't like. And it seems to come from hardcore flat earthers. So I just wish I didn't label myself a flat earther. I don't think I live on a spinning ball. Like I think it's a realm, absolutely a realm.
Don't feel bad. One time I labeled myself a Democrat.
Oh, damn.
Well, I was always mostly independent, but I voted for Al Gore in '98. Sorry, everybody. He lost though, so I didn't really affect anything.
Like I'll always be a flat earther. It's just that term. I know people get it. Like it's weaponized, and you say flat earther, it's derogatory for other people. Like to me, I don't care, but for other people, like to me, I don't care, but there's just labels. Why is there so many labels? I'll never get rid of your sticker, Angela. I'm just playing. I'll never take those stickers off. This shit ain't going nowhere. I'm
No,
just,
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Yeah, and that's why I talk about realm earth and the differences between that or simulation theory. But the vapor canopy,
yes, yes.
that brings me to simulation theory also, because the guy who I learned that about was Jason Archaics, or Jason Brashears from archaics.com. Or yeah, go to archaics.com, whatever. Check out his videos. He spent 20 something years in jail, and I guess some people are like he was a sex offender, but they found out the real story, which is pretty crazy. He used to steal cars. He like ran away at 15. He used to steal cars, and he met up with his old buddy after he got out of juvie. And they stole a car, and it was a Lexus, and some girl didn't want to get out of it, and so they're like, "All right, fine, we'll drop you off to the next gas station or whatever." And his friend had the gun and it was in the back seat with a girl, and that's when crazy stuff happened. But not, I mean, I guess she got naked. He turned around, he's like, "What the hell?" But the guy had the gun. But he pulled into like a gas station and was like, "Go get a hot dog or whatever and something to drink." So the guy, when he went into the gas station, he took off and went to the nearest police station and told him exactly what happened and turned himself in. So, but anyway, I just want to address that because sometimes people are like, listen to the guy anyway, like,
right.
He sounds very genuine to me. But anyway, he read books for like 20 something years. That's all he had to do. And they have all these old books in the Texas school system because they used to try to reform prisoners. So they flooded, even the Masons did this in the 1800s. They flooded a lot of the Texas prisons with books, and they never threw them away. They would just move them. And so he found all these old books from the 1800s with so much common knowledge, and that is not common today. But back then it was like well known, right? And he just wrote all this stuff. He made this huge, he calls it like a chronicon or whatever, but it's just all this information of events that happened and corresponded from different places and different people. And he would just write notes every week or like every couple of months. He'd send him home to his family, and his family saved him. So when he got out, he just went to work putting it all together. And he was published also by Booktree, who is the same people who published Zecharia Sitchin. And he has an issue. He likes a lot of Sitchin's stuff, but he has an issue because Sitchin talks about all this people like the Anunnaki being around hundreds of thousands of years ago. But they took this unit of measurement, I think it was called the Shar, which was just a day, because they always counted time back then by the day. Because during the vapor canopy, there was no sun. There was a sun, but all the water was in the mesosphere, and during the day it was like a purple light. And this was the pre-diluvian times. The flood was caused by all this water coming out of the sky and back into the water, and it didn't even affect the whole world. It just affected a part where there's a lot of people, right? And now I know this sounds crazy.
I need
right?
info on this.
You gotta you're gonna go through like another rabbit hole. It is crazy. So the vapor canopy, people, and this has been documented in places where they made biospheres that were similar to the vapor canopy. Like they would make a little, like, you remember the movie MellowDome with Pauly Shore?
Mm-hmm.
And people, like, they got plants to grow bigger and animals to get bigger. And then also somebody experienced it on an island. There was some effect, and they're studying it, and they grew like an inch or two. It's like some shit out of fucking Lord of the Rings. So that's where giants come from. There was actually giants, and it wasn't that long ago. That's where giant animals and beavers and all that stuff, giant mountains and trees, a tree that looks like a mountain.
Yeah.
This stuff, because when the vapor canopy came and then the thing at night during the vapor canopy is you could see the stars on a whole other level, because it was like a telescope. The water was acting like a, like a
like a lensing effect,
amplifier,
like a magnifier.
And the good news, or whatever, his whole theory is that it's coming back in 2040. There's going to be another quote unquote like pole shift, and he thinks it's going to cause the vapor canopy to come back. And then every 138 years, he found this thing called, he labels it the Phoenix cycle, where there's a disaster. Only a couple times it's been worldwide, but most times it's localized. And that's where you get stories like Sodom and Gomorrah.
What's his name? What's his name again?
Just go to Archaics. It's like ARC. It's like Archaics. AR.
Oh yes, I know who you're talking about. I think I'm might be sub to him.
Yes. So I can even send you one of his other videos, but it's amazing the stuff that he talks about and the way history really was and stuff. And he always talks about a certain tribe, that have
I'm
been
not
around.
sub to him. I'm not. Okay.
Yeah, it's funny. But he's not like one of these people. I have a joke, and it's like the journey of truth I found in life is from A to Z, and a lot of people get stuck on J's. I wrote that in the letter to Owen Benjamin that I'm sending tomorrow. I go, I got a joke for you, buddy. I mean, it's my joke. You could say it on your stream, but I'm going to try to use it in life. Maybe. Yeah. So anyway, he's not like that, which is cool. He gets it, but he understands it. There's something to it, but yeah, it's pretty cool. And the other thing I love about his message is, so he believes we live in some kind of simulation, like a holographic construction. And this will bring us into Realm Earth too, because people were asked, I put a poll out there and I said, you want to talk about Realm Earth or reincarnation? And we're at 63% for Realm Earth. So I'll end the poll.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah. And so, his other belief is that if you don't fear, then nothing can harm you, like literally, right? Unless it's I guess your time to go or whatever, but that's what are you going to do? We're all going to die. But he's basically saying that even if these things happen and you don't have fear, a way out will be provided. Maybe it's like all of a sudden your family moves somewhere, whatever it is. It's just the way this realm works that.
Oh my gosh, dude, it does work like that, man.
Those in fear really can't. It's because everything's consent based. They're not jabbing people with experimental medical serums like against their will. People just think that, and they don't want to give up convenience. And these aren't judgments. It's just what I see, right? It's an observation. So I think that's awesome. And I agree with him. And what I say to people is, that's the most important thing. Do you live your life according to the golden rule or natural law, all this stuff? And then we can agree and be friends and we could kind of ponder and worry about everything else.
Yeah, dude, 100%. I love that.
Yeah. And so
absolutely.
What I would say to somebody who is, let me get some water out of my copper bottle. You better not steal it. What I would say to those people is that I think we exist in a realm and it's very similar to a simulation. It's going to actually act just like that because you are just like you have three men in a room in a dark room feeling an elephant, right? They're all going to give you a different description. So I think your description is spot on, but the flaw that I see, or maybe not flaw, we'll get to that after. The thing I would like to propose is if our brains, people say our brains work like computers and our brain is just like more sophisticated. That's how we can get consciousness or just process things or whatever. I mean, consciousness is probably something different, but anyway, our brains function like computers. So if a computer is basically just a physical representation of us trying to replicate our brain in the physical world, out there in the material realm. So we look at a computer and we see how it works. And then we see how this realm works. And then we go, oh shit, it must be a computer. Where it's like, no, the computer is just a representation of this realm.
Right.
It's like the other side, but it's fine. It's just inverted. And the reason that I say that is because this guy Archaics can find all these patterns and that all these patterns repeat. And then certain societies just like go out of existence or whatever it is, right? I think that's part of the way the realm works, but I think the way it manifests like that and human behavior manifests like this, like a computer, is because our brains are like computers and we go through cycles and it's going to manifest out in the physical, just like a computer would set it up, because the collective consciousness, and this is something else I say, a lot of people like us who think we're all woke onto everything and we're like, oh, it's all bullshit. And we think everyone else are sheep. Well, I don't want to speak for, this is how I felt, right? Everyone else is just stupid and they're sheep and they're asleep. Well, and we could judge them and we could see their behavior, but it's like you're just looking at your arm, it's part of you. We're part of the collective consciousness in that way. So we can't be a true observer because we're in the freaking experiment,
Yeah, we're a part of it.
Yeah. And because of that, our limited scope,
to think we're not in any of these program systems along with them would be crazy, and that is the approach I had for a while. Like, oh, these stupid sheep, that you guys are all programmed, but you know, I was being programmed right then and there. That's a program in itself. Like, you don't think that that was something they wanted to accomplish, just causing more division, blah blah blah. But yeah, absolutely, keep going.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. I said that today. I had a meeting with some friends, and yeah, it was amazing. Shout out to the vitriol sandwich. You know who you are. But anyway, so because of this, the human behavior is going to manifest in that way. We're going to see it. We're going to think it's a computer. And so where was I going with all this? But I guess I could say the flaw in the logic also is that it's a materialistic viewpoint. At the end of the day, you're just a materialist. If you're a globe earther, if you're a flat earther, you think it's like a flat plane with a glass dome or waters, but you think it's like a construction that's like real. Like, what the hell is real? Like, you zoom in on your hand and all you see is you just keep seeing moving particles. We're just energy, right? So if you think that that's not the case, and we're, in a material dome, or
it's
or
like we're
inside
light.
a computer. Yeah, exactly, dude.
I do. Like, we're just all shades of.
They're gonna put you on a cross. No, yeah, no, you're exactly right.
Like sound and light, that's the same thing, and we're just manifesting at that frequency to where it manifests. There's density, there's material. It's and they're trying to get rid of the metaphysical. They want everything to be material and quantified. That's why they have the quantum mechanics, and then they have photons, and all of these physical things that they say that are actually real, but yet it's not this material thing. They're trying to make everything physical. I believe all these things above us is the metaphysical, and they're trying to make that physical. That's what NASA does. These are things we can land on and blah blah blah, and it detaches us from that. Crow says, I can't say it as well as he did, but the sky, if when we look around here on earth, this is part of nature. If when we look up at the sky, why wouldn't we think the same thing? We've been trained to not think that up there isn't nature. Oh, vacuum. Well, a vacuum abhors it abhors a nature abhors a vacuum. So
except for out in space, it's fine. Most of the rest of nature, just on earth, guys.
So that is not nature up there, but yes, it actually is nature. It's actually it's the other half of this system. As above, so below. It's incomplete if we think that way.
You're on fire right now, dude. You better drop on the ground and roll around.
We're both on fire, man. I'm really enjoying this. I'm really glad you invited me on here, dude.
Yeah, dude.
I love the vibes you put out, brother. I love the.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I enjoy it, and you're funny.
Thanks, man. Yeah, my humor is like, it's mostly for myself, but I know that certain people get it, and those are the people I'm like, yes.
I tried stand up once. It was a talent show in middle school. No, I think I was like freshman or something. But you know what happened? They censored my bit because I had a couple jokes about a kid in a wheelchair riding the short bus, and they told me to leave that one out. So I was crushing back then, but I never did it again. Always wanted to go try some open mic or something, but I never had the balls. It takes a lot of balls to go do that.
You know what I'm gonna say to you? I'm gonna smack you with the board right now. So you know how you said that James and Najla should have a show? Yeah. Well, I think that about you with stand-up comedy, motherfucker.
I want to try it. I do. My wife says I should.
I'll just say this. I've seen people who are less funny than you do it.
Nice. That's good.
Just to be nice about it. So I think everybody starts off and they suck, but it doesn't matter. Because let me tell you, I was telling this to Woodshop last night. I was like, I would go to these open mics at Joker's Wild in New Haven, Connecticut. Shout out to that place, which is no longer open, unfortunately. And listen to this story. The guy was like all right, so it was the Italian section of New Haven, and he was like an old remnant, and he was a biker, but he would like send the bikers down the street to harass the local business shops. Then he'd walk around like he was the mob guy and be like, oh, you want me to get rid of those bikers? It's going to cost you. Like, he did this shit, right? And so he finally got put in jail for one reason or another. Great guy, he's like, but the system's always going to catch up to you if you're trying to compete, right? And he ended up getting a brain tumor, and he passed away, unfortunately. And then his wife, who was like 20 years younger than him, this like hot Italian lady. That was just a, wonderful lady. We'll just say she was running it, and she was like 30 something. So it was just, anyway. So Joker's Wild, shout out to that place. I'd go every Wednesday night to their open mic, and it was a small little comedy club, but it was pretty decent size. You could probably get 110 people on there. And sometimes the open mics would have like 50 people in there. Like, it was comedians and like college students. And it was a lot of fun. Like, we had some fun times there. And I remember every Wednesday I would like work on my stuff. And then sometimes I'd be like, I don't know if I want to go. I'm tired, or I'm this or I'm that. I drag myself there. And then I have this ingenious way to battle that. I always start to find people around me that do it, and then say, hey, you want to go with me? Because then I can't back down. So anyway, I would go, and I would immediately, even if I bombed, right? Even if I did the worst, even if people threw tomatoes at me, which never happened, I would leave there. I'd hang out with the comedians till it was over. We'd all hang out and then smoke weed after. And then I would leave there, and I would be like on cloud nine, like, this is fucking awesome, dude. Like, I don't care. It doesn't matter, because I would tell stories about my life. So if something shitty happened to me, I could go up on stage and try to make it funny. And it automatically started to change the way that I look at the world. It was crazy. I always kind of look at that way anyway, but yeah, really. So I would say,
if you can't laugh at it, then what are you going to do?
Exactly. What I mean? Give it a shot, man.
And even great comedy comes from tragedy.
Exactly.
That's how that works. That's why they called, tragedy comedies, tragedies.
Tragic comedy.
Yeah.
This is a tragic comedy right now.
Hey, I need to get some water, dude. I'm gonna
please
really
do.
Quick. I'll be right back.
All right, I'll do a commercial. All right, everybody. Do you guys know I have another podcast? It's called the Over Sharon Show. You could find us on Podbean, Apple Music. You could find us on Spotify, and also right here on YouTube at the Brandon Bonanza channel. Check out the Over Sharon Show. We call it the best darn show on the internet. It's myself and my friend Sharon, who is, she's a widow, right? She has this amazing view of the world because of it. And then she dated this man, and this is all like public common knowledge. It's fine. We talk about this all the time. She dated this man for 8 years, another man after that. And her husband was like she felt like her soulmate. And this other guy wasn't the same. And then later she looked into narcissism, whatever that is, label. But I mean, there's behaviors that you can put in that camp or that hole or whatever. So anyway, she did that. She started to educate herself. She found out what it was. And so she kind of distanced herself from that man. And then a few months later, he ended up dying of a heart attack. Who knows? There's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world these days, a lot of heart. But anyway, so she has this, and she grew up basically under a rock because she grew up with a pretty strict Christian upbringing. So, but her parents were singers on TV in Colombia and Mexico. So she has this really crazy view of the world, and it's amazing to talk to her because I'm the other way. I don't know if you guys know much about me if you don't know the show, but we say she grew up under a rock, and I say I grew up under a crack rock. So not that literal crack or whatever, but it was wild in the 70s. Let me tell you, in the 80s, it was crazy out there. But so we have a really interesting way to look at the world, and we have a lot of the same views, and we're able to have a grown-up discussion about things. And it's really fun. We talk about things like realm earth. We talk about things like division in society. We talk about death, what we think happens after you die. We plan on doing an episode where we talk about dreams. We've had James from Grounded Extracts on there. Great episode. We've had a lot of great. Joe was one of my favorites. That guy, he has a show called Contemplations of Spirit, which is like, it's on Telegram, and it might get like 10 listeners. And this isn't a dig, because he used to try to be on YouTube, and he did really well at first, but then nobody wants to hear what he has to say except for I do. It's great. So we have him on. We talk about a lot of crazy things. He really like hammers truthers, that's why, but he hammers them in an honest way, like we're talking about, So people just don't want to hear it. And he studied all this occult stuff, and he actually manifested a house because he lives in Germany now. He's from New York City, grew up in Florida. He's the one who talked to you about Florida. He hit you up, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He went to the army, and then
dude, what a small world, right? Like,
Yeah.
how cool is that, man? What a small realm, actually.
Yeah. It's
Very
nuts.
cool, though.
Exactly, dude. So yeah, dude, I get stories I could tell you about running into people places like Italy, running into somebody that knew my
You,
uncle. It's like,
you mentioned the question. You said you had shows talking about, life after death and things like that. And those are some of the questions that I have. I'm fascinated with that topic.
oh yeah.
And we did a show over there on the MellowDome with two legends, Walt from Iron Row Media and Bob from Globebusters. And they were talking about um it was called the Sky Grid. But it was like a grid in the sky, and it's basically the veil of forgetfulness. It's the point where the soul, once it crosses over, it's basically an electric shock, because you're leaving this toroidal field, this electrical thing, and it's pretty fascinating. And then I've heard Crow talking about ancient civilizations, ancient cultures, talking about the moon was a portal, and if they died on the waxing or waning phase of the moon, depends whether they ascend or get filtered back in, and
Yeah, I think they say
pretty
that in the
wild.
Bhagavad Gita also. I think it's something like that, some kind of Eastern tradition. They talk about souls who enter this realm in a certain part of the year and souls who depart in a certain part of the year go different places. Yeah. They go to the moon into reincarnation. Like
Mm-hmm. And then you think about that with like the moon landings. I don't know, bro. It's a little
yeah.
wild, man.
Well, it's like the physical representation. It's like what we were talking about in Realm
Yes.
Earth. And I'm gonna talk about that stuff really with you. But before that,
Yeah.
I just want to finish up because I've been doing this a long time and I remember a point if I had one. So we were talking about globe Earth, flat Earth, realm Earth being physical, right? So all those mindsets or worldviews are physical. So what's the problem with that? Well, materialism is something you teach a certain group of people called slaves. Because if you could get people to believe in materialism, then they'll be a slave to the voice in their own head. And then they're easily your slave now if you want them to be. And there's people that know this on both sides, whatever, they're masters because they master the internal. If you master the internal, guess what? You're a master in the external too, baby. You got slaves working for you if you want, or you can have slaves like Owen Benjamin said, the builder buddy group, where there's people that are just trying to learn stuff and they just live on your land and they help you with stuff. Or some people, they're just not into this. They want to come onto your land, help do your stuff, and then just drink all weekend.
Mexicans.
But they're a great worker. You know what I'm saying?
I was just playing.
What'd you say?
I said Mexicans.
Yeah. Yeah. Or well, trust me, I know a lot of Irish people like this too. All right. So
well, no, I grew up
dude,
in
they try
Indiana, and I grew up next to there's this place called Shipshawana, huge Amish community.
Oh wow.
And dude, those are some I worked next to those guys, and because my dad worked with them, and that job ain't no joke. I wish I had land to do something like that. Like I would be a part of that, like if there was an opportunity I could go and be a part of yeah,
go
right?
to Missouri.
I know, like let me be a part of something for sure. Like
go to Missouri.
Like,
it's calling you.
Right?
Let me tell you something. You know why Missouri's crazy? Because not only is Owen Benjamin now funding for money to buy land for campgrounds and an event site for bears or
yeah, that's awesome, man.
Not only is he doing that in Missouri, they had the Bear Fest there, but also Jason from Archaics that talks about the Phoenix event and all the resets is saying that it's going to shift, and he's showing like this pocket of the United States that's going to be doing really well, especially if there's a vapor canopy, and Missouri is right there in the middle. And then the deserts, he basically says that he's like, the deserts aren't deserts in a vapor canopy. They're like insane, lush, crazy places, like of plenty.
So
it's like feast and famine. You get a feast for 7 years, famine for 7 years,
right. And they say that a lot of these deserts were once a lush jungle or forest and things like that. Right.
Exactly.
Back to the cycles.
Like Florida. Yeah, it might get a little wet, they're saying, but whatever. If you don't have any fear, you'll be fine.
I'm like on the penis of the United States. I'm on the limp dick of the United States.
You're that dirty, crusty herpy.
The show me state. Yeah, Missouri is the show me state. Shout out Josh. My boy Josh. IRM. I think he's out there. I've been out there. It's a great place. Nebraska. I like Nebraska too. I've been out to I mean, this was years ago, but yeah, I don't know. I was thinking South Carolina right now. I did, with everything going on in my life, I don't really have plans on leaving. I think a lot of people here in Florida are crushing.
Yeah, dude. Oh yeah. Listen, this is what I'm saying, right? You just
Oh
do
yeah,
whatever.
I know. Yeah.
But as long as you're crushing, you'll be fine. Like Noah even built an ark. You know what I'm saying? Like there's ways out.
Right.
Moses parted the sea, whatever these stories are. I basically parted the sea once. So I think it can be done. I got sucked out in an undertow in Ocean City.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was insane. And so we just went, it was like a Sunday. We were there all weekend. It was Sunday, about to leave. We used to go every year for a car show in September, and the weather was still nice down there. You can go swimming. And there's a hurricane off the shore. Speaking of hurricanes, right? There's a giant dick off the shore, and it was making the water really rough. So we couldn't go swimming. Last day, we go down there with our bathing suits anyway. We're like, well, it's cloudy, but we just want to feel the water, So I went up to my ankles, and waves would come in, the low waves come in and they just go over your ankles. And when one came back, all the sand under my feet disappeared, and I basically started to get sucked into the ocean. And I know what to do in an undertow. You're supposed to swim parallel to shore, so I started to do that, but then the waves got really bad, and I was just bouncing because I'm really tall. I was bouncing off the bottom because I've been swimming my whole life, and I'm been in oceans and all kinds of stuff, so I'm not afraid to swim. And I was a freaking Marine, like hoorah. So I'm just like bouncing, and then all of a sudden the water's getting over my head. So if I bounce, I go underwater, which I didn't want to do because I didn't want to get flipped over and stuff. So I just started to tread water and time it, and then I started to panic. And I remember it was like, I just said to myself, well, I guess if this is how I die, this is how I'm going to die. But if I panic, I got to just keep my head, basically told myself, and just kept swimming. And after a while, I felt sand under my feet, and I hit this sandbar. And when I just was able to walk in like 150 yards, maybe a little 200 yards, I don't know. I just was able to walk between churning on both sides. It just created this crazy sandbar, and I was able to walk right back to shore on it.
Nice, dude. That's fucking wild. That would be crazy.
My friend was right next to me, like only 6 inches closer to shore, basically, and he didn't get sucked in.
So he watched that whole thing.
Watched it, and there was 2 girls or whatever that walked by, and they stopped, and they were like screaming. So I can hear screaming because no one was on the beach. There was no lifeguards.
And then you walk back up on shore.
Like, guys, I'm Jesus. The hair just grew.
Them chicks are probably like, hey, you want to hang out? Hey.
Yeah, it was. I think that was like a metaphor for my life, because at the time I was there basically just to get laid. Let's hook up with some chicks. And they actually came with us to the hot tub, but I was just like, I don't know, man. I don't know what happened. It was just weird for all of us,
You're like, do you not just see what just happened?
Yeah, but it wasn't like we have to get together and have some sex. It was like we all just went through a trauma. We need to just like hang out because we're the only ones that will understand what happened. We just need to like, what do they do when you're in the CIA? They debrief you. We had to debrief, So it was crazy though. But because of that, now that I look back on it, I think it's the way that I used to play with emotions and just whatever water represents in the esoteric. Like you have the tarot 4 suits. One of them is cups. It represents water. And then what does water represent? It represents emotions, and it represents all this stuff. So I thought that I could just play in the shallow and I'd be fine. And I got sucked out into the rough water, and it was like, hey, listen, you can't just play around in the shallows. The water's all connected, like it knows, motherfucker. So
yeah,
it was like this symbol that I played out in my life. And then I was able, without fear, to walk back on a freaking sandbar like Moses and part this is what I said. I'm like, I was going to make a joke out. I was going to tell the story and then be like, I parted the ocean city instead of the Red Sea. Like I parted the ocean city and I got herpes. See? Yeah. You like my comedy.
Oh yeah.
So it was a great night.
I like you get these. See, I don't want to get all weird, but I feel like I get signs from the creator like that a lot. It's not necessarily, it's like no one says, hey, I'm so and so and such and such. It's, events happen in my life, sometimes, not good ones, but, they're the outcome of it, the course that led me to good does come out of it in the long run. Like all of these things, this whole life is a roller coaster. And like you said earlier, when you understand that you have more control of your life than what we were taught, you can, you can navigate, when those dips and curves are coming, and if you're doing the right thing and you're living by those golden rules, everything's going to work out in your favor. And these past few years for me and my wife, once we applied that to our lives, that literally happens. Like we've had last minute situations that, next thing you know, things came through for us the way, not necessarily the way we planned, but the way we worked for it to. Like it was our intentions and what we done and these little things we were doing in order for that to possibly manifest and happen. I do feel like we have that kind of ability. Might be getting a little woo-woo for too many people, but yeah, there's a lot of power to that. You got to have faith in yourself, yeah. So.
Yeah, truth. All so true, man. And you know how you found that out? Because you did it yourself the hard way. Now you're speaking from experience, from a true knowing. And that's what makes people like us powerful, if I may say so, because we've all been through different stuff, but we could speak from this truth and we could share our truth. And when people are on that vibration of truth, other people recognize it, and they might be in a different situation in life, but they could use our message to their advantage, Shout out to those people, the truth seekers. Yeah, I thought of a joke actually, because about like terrain theory and exosomes and all that.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Well, I can even make a meme that says exosomes cure herpes, and then put like research Dr. Kaufman.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah,
man,
you know how many people be like, exosomes cure herpes? They'll put in exosomes Dr. Kaufman. Just Google exosomes Dr. Kaufman, then they get a video about fucking terrain theory.
Man, I'm glad I found him at that time, during the beginning of all that, because wow, what an awakening that was. It's like, it's almost like, thank you for pulling that string on that, that bullshit and allowing me the ability to actually find out what health really is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was worth the pandemic for me to find that shit out.
Wow. A whole new outlook on life and like how much power you get back learning these truths. Like, holy shit, this medical industry, I don't need that. Like, because a lot of people get scared with the idea of, well, what am I going to do if I don't have a doctor? We don't go to the hospital. What are we going to do? And it's like, no.
It's like, no, what am I going to do if they bring me to a hospital? Right. Unless it's some trauma, like it's a car accident. Yeah, great.
Right. Of course.
What are they, like I always do? This is something that's really funny because I would always, even though I didn't know all that, instinctually, I used to tell my parents when I was like, probably my early 30s, maybe my late 20s, but I'd be like, listen, if I die or if I'm like sick or whatever, I'm like, you don't have to bring me to the hospital. I'm like, just bring me to a field. I would always say that. I'm like, just bring me to a field with trees. I'll be fine. Right. And then it morphed into like, even when I used to drive a motorcycle a lot, and I'm like, if I ever get in an accident, I'm like, don't bring me to the hospital. Just have the ambulance bring me to a field. And this is before I knew anything about like, there is no lie in nature and all this stuff. So it's so funny how like your intuition just knows and it comes out in those ways, especially with comedy. I'd be like, just bring me to a field. And it got to like be this joke that even my mom would say. I'm like, because they'd say something about the hospital. I'm like, you went to a hospital? And they're like, oh, I had this. And I'm like, hey, if I ever have this, just bring me to a field. Whatever it was that somebody told me that happened to them. It was my joke. I'm like, you still take Tylenol? I'm like, what? Don't you know? Have you ever heard of this website called Google? You could just put in Tylenol liver.
I know people have no clue. Why would it be bad for us? I see commercials.
Why? But why would they lie? They don't know they're lying. That's what it is. They're not.
And they're not even necessarily lying either. I mean, the people
they're
that
tricking themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I had a shout out to Justin Harvey from We Are Change. I had him on the MellowDome this past Monday morning, and we were talking about James. He had a great question. He brought up, do you think, because okay, let me slow down a little bit. Justin Harvey, he does a lot of activism, and he approaches politics. He's out here in Florida, he's crushing, and he approaches mayors and things like that and asks them questions about, things that they've said. He would hold them accountable on camera. And James asked him does he get a sense that these people knowingly know they're doing something bad and harming people, or do these people actually believe that what they're doing is the right thing? So let's say these people like the Bill Gates and things like that, or many of these doctors or whatever. Bill Gates, by the way, is not a doctor, but do we necessarily think that these people are like twiddling like they're, ooh, I'm evil, Mr. Burns, and I'm gonna be Bill evil? No, or do they think they're actually putting good into the world? Of course, they probably fattening their pockets, but I do think that they look at themselves as, approved leaders of society, if you will. They don't necessarily look at themselves as the evil person.
Why?
Why?
Because that resonation. Truth resonates on a certain vibratory plane or pattern.
Yeah, it resonates. It resonates certain people.
Get people, if say you're someone who's trying to control the world, if you could get people to pull off your plan for you, but they think that they're doing good and they're speaking the truth, it's gonna resonate a lot better with people. Could it be? So that's all I'm saying. Yeah. So I 100% like. Even the meatball, I'm sure Alex Jones, I'm sure he thinks he's doing God's work, but he's got to get the boner pills or
right.
He's got to get the demons are calling him. So he's just satisfying those demons and he thinks he's doing a good job. Good for the meatball.
Yeah, right.
I'm just saying Alex Jones because Caribe was telling me, we were talking about that earlier on Telegram. Shout out to Caribe Root. I went for a walk with her in the woods the other day. It was amazing. It's the second time we went. She's really cool people. She brought me, listen to this. She brought me a bag of a couple of vegetables, a couple of peppers and a tomato, and there was a lime in there. And we're in Connecticut. I'm like, you grew this? She's like, yeah, I have a lime tree. I'm like, I just got a fresh lime. So I'm very excited about that. But yeah, dude, it's crazy. It's not what we always think.
Sorry, I'm trying to stay muted because I can hear my sugar gliders are waking up. So they're
it's all right.
Kind of loud right now.
It's
got
fine.
Sugar gliders. I got a bearded dragon.
I'm just excited that my cats are outside, I think, right now, because sometimes they'd be harassing me too. So don't worry about it. It's a common occurrence on the show. We're used to pet interruptions. Well, at least me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I totally agree with all that. And I guess I talked basically about Realm Earth, right? And I guess I could just finish up by saying I leave it as a mystery. And I think that, like you were saying before, we're light. I think that we're energy. We're some kind of energy that we can't understand. And we're having this physical experience. Because the way I put it is, if you look at a figure 8, where it crosses, that's the point we're at right now. It's the physical realm, the cross. Christ on a cross. The cross is everywhere,
Oh, yeah. I like
it's in the sky. So if we're in this cross, and we're experiencing physical, but we don't know that we're energy. That's the veil of forgetfulness. So when we exit out of this stage of the thing and we go around the loop, I think that's a time when we don't have free will because we're not in the physical. And we're learning different kind of lessons and we're experiencing a trajectory based on the work we did when we were in the physical. We're either moving up or moving down, right? And that's where you get heaven and hell from. And
yeah. That's also where you could get the idea, because the story goes that the angels were envious of the humans because they had free will. And then, and you just said there's a moment where we're not going to have free will because we're not in the physical, so yeah.
And we're basically going to be at the beck and call of the people in the physical that will summon us. And that's what happens when you summon in black magic and you're talking to these spirits. And that's also what happens when you listen to your intuition, because that is also a voice that's speaking to you, that's connected to the energy. So if you follow that voice, then you're going to be allegedly you're going to spiral upwards because they're calling you up too. They're calling you down and they're calling you up.
Dude, that just gave me truth bumps, bro. Like straight up, like that resonates right there. I like that.
Yeah. So
sorry, man. They're loud. They're like,
no, I didn't even trust me, dude. I'm I'm a very good, let's just talk about me. I'm a very good poker player. And one of the reasons is because distractions are I just tune them out. Like when I'm tuned into something and I could seem like I'm paying attention to like the waitress and all this other stuff, but I'm like laser focused in. I'm like, you just folded, you just raised, you know. And so why was I saying that? Why was I saying I was such an amazing poker player?
Because of the sound of my
The
animals not
noises, yeah.
distracting you.
So that stuff I don't even hear. Like I live a block and a half from I-95 and the train tracks. So yeah, there's always a lot of constant distractions, but I still hear the birds chirping. You know what I mean? Just like you. How you doing, chat? Are you guys enjoying this? I'm like thoroughly enjoying myself. I knew this was going to be a good one. I'm so smart. That's right. I'm just complimenting you.
Yeah, man.
Realm
Earth, dude. Yeah. What is your thoughts on that Wooden Nickels Ewar? I heard that they're gonna be on, they got an episode with Crow coming out.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I wish that if I had a wish, I would wish that Owen and Crow and Ewar would look into Jason from Archaics' work. Just somehow see past this label of a convict and a sex criminal or a sex offender. Maybe look into the true story. Maybe it's not true. Maybe he's lying, but look into his data because he has references for everything and you can go and check it. And there's there's like people reading books from people that like went to the Library of Alexandria would write books, and then people would write books about those books. And that's the books that he had access to. So it was this crazy information. That's why he surmised we're in a simulation, a holography where we could create any reality that we want, because if you don't have any fear and you kind of break the pattern, and the way he looks at it is that there's this intelligence, artificial intelligence X that kind of controls the collective and what they do, and you can break that pattern. But if you look at it through the lens that I was describing earlier, maybe it's just the way the human mind works because it's like a computer. And if you can break out of that pattern, I totally believe in all stuff that he says about resets. I think it's the way that consciousness works, but I don't think it's a physical place. I think that we're literally creating all this stuff we see on the inside, to put it in other ways, inside us. It's all inside. We just think we're out here. And the way that we touch each other and feel each other, it's all just energy playing a dance or whatever. I know it sounds very hippy dippy.
Oh no, I like that hippy stuff.
So in that way, you could just I think that our consciousness, there's something Joe said on a show that's coming out in a couple of weeks. Our consciousness is what destroyed the towers. It wasn't an energy weapon. It was human consciousness being harnessed because it's not physical, right? So yeah, anyway. But if they would look into that work, it'd be amazing. And I'm excited to see that, though. I think if I ever get a chance to talk to Crow, which, listen, we're both ex-Marines. So, I wrote a book. I'm in the process of writing another one. And I think if it gets to him, it's going to be very simple. Not that, he likes to read big things just to be short, but I think that that at least get me on the show, maybe the Over Sharon show. But if I ever get a chance to talk to him, I would love to bring up this topic just because, and it'd be in a way where I'm like, listen, I don't care about this guy. He's not I don't put him on a pedestal. He's not my hero. He seems like a really nice guy. Like I would like to hang out with him, whatever, but like, whatever, either way.
Yeah. Just look at the information.
Take
the meat, leave the bones.
Yeah. Cause it's really, what I find about it in my worldview, it really is another step out of victim narrative and victim consciousness. Because if you learn that you really are in control of your own destiny in that way. And we also talk about manifesting and creating your future. And if you're doing it according to the golden rule and following the voice inside, how can you go wrong?
Right. Absolutely.
Allegedly. Where's my hat? Hang on. I should have pulled this.
Oh, nice. Allegedly.
Yeah, totally. So yeah,
man, I had a thought. Oh yeah. So I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I've said this before on my show a few times. But these people, these elites, or maybe these obsoletes is a better name for them. But these ones, not necessarily the ones that we even see or hear about, like the ones above, black nobility or whatever you want to call them, the ones behind the family names and all that stuff, right? They understand that concept that we are out here projecting the reality out into the world. We have like these two lenses and this machine, this is the way we are describing it because of our technology. It's a computer, like
and
you
who
said.
created the technology? Human brain.
Right. So, we have this and we're projecting this reality out. What the obsoletes understand that's why they get us out the womb, right? Because they got to slap us with all of this programming and conditioning so we can essentially just project out the reality that they want for themselves and the reality that they would want for us. And, it happened big time when they pulled the trigger a couple of years ago, doing all these people were
the experimental medical serum.
Yeah. All these people were glued to these television programming, channeling the programming to everyone's machine, and then they're going out into the world and just projecting out this reality, and then there's signs and plastic up in front of your face and all masking, double mask, triple mask, blah blah blah, and then we were the counter to that, people like us. So we're going out there and trying to, this is our reality and it's bumping up to their reality. And then that's how you get paradigm shattering things. And then people get triggered and become a Karen and all of these other things. A lot of people can't handle these truths. That's why they will never face them. People have to they have to look for it, like I was looking for something, and that's what I found certain truths that, or whatever you want to call them, things that just resonated with me, right? Like you said, truth resonates with people. And man, my bell was rung big time. And it was at a time where I was cleaning myself out mentally and physically, cleaning myself and, getting all those toxins out of my body that's been there for years, like literally trying to rewire myself. And at that same time, it's like, once I started doing that, the creator was like, okay, I see you. Well, let me pull some veils away for you and show you some real truths, because I see you working hard. I see you. So let me reward you with something, it's like, here, check this out. And it's like, here, check this out. And this out. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm getting all of this information or downloads or whatever you want to call it. And it's just been an overwhelming feeling. Like there's no day where I'm bored. I'm learning something new every day. Yeah, I can keep going.
It's like magic. That's what I think magic is on one level. And that's why they call it dark magic, because you could do what you said with those people that are really pulling the strings, right? We'll say it that way, or think they are. But
Right.
They understand these concepts 100%, and they get us to do this. And it reminds me of the movie The Matrix, when Morpheus says to Neo, when he's training him and he's like out of breath, and he's like, "You think that's air you're breathing?"
Yeah.
It brings me back to that thing where if we're in a spiritual realm, we only believe we're breathing air and all this stuff. It's a way that our consciousness is controlled by our actual beliefs. And I think that's where people like breatharians come in, or people that just heal themselves of the C word,
Right.
or the old school C word, like the zodiac sign of the Cancer. I'm a Cancer, guys. Anyway, they heal themselves from that. And not that we have the cure. We don't have the cure for cancer.
Right.
Oh, do we? No. People that heal themselves quickly, rapidly, stuff like that. It's like belief, man. What if that's what it is? It's this way. And then if you can convince yourself, whatever you can, like, listen, Kanye West convinced himself that he was a great rapper, and now everybody knows his name. All right. He convinced himself. He didn't quite convince me. I mean, he has a couple good songs, but listen, I'm old school.
You're right.
I remember Big L and Public Enemy, and guys, come on, it's tough. I remember like yeah. Anyway, so no, it's my rap joke.
Man, there was good songs.
Wu-Tang
They
Clan
actually told a story, and it made sense. Now it's just a bunch of mumbo jumbo BS. But I mean, you're right though. It is the power, you have the power, and once you understand that and you can because the power. So when this happened these past couple of years, people were taking in what they were programming and putting out, and their belief in it would cause, you know, them to screw themselves over. And it's like, I get the sniffles, and then oh my gosh, I might have it. And it's like, and then you make yourself worse. And then it's a psychological mind fuck. Everything is a psychological trap, I feel like. And you have to really, like, I'm self-aware. How many people are self-aware? I always ask myself that. I got a huge problem thinking that everyone I talk to thinks the same way I do, or eternally is thinking the same way as me, or I just have that problem. I feel, I understand that that's a problem for me. I expect the same thing that I put out, and but whatever. And that's something I got to work on. But I forgot where I was going with that. There's a reason why I said that.
You were crushing.
What's that?
I said you were crushing.
Yeah, crushing, steady crushing. Damn it, dude, I lost it.
It's all right. When I was with Rodney Norman the other night, shout out to Rodney Norman, everybody.
Bro, so awesome. That was so awesome, man. I went and listened to that. That was so awesome.
He's freaking hilarious, man. Shout out to him. But he said that because I lost my train of thought. And he's like, well, he's like, people like us, and I'm including you, we have these brains that sometimes work really fast, and they're just creating, and I'll add this too, I forgot to say this, but they're like creating worlds. We're actually creating a world that we're immersed in, we're trying to speak it, and we get ahead of ourselves, and we go down a right turn and a left turn, and then all of a sudden we're like, shit, because we just created this other stuff and it distracted us.
Dude, that's such a perfect representation. Yeah, I love that conversation. I think he is hilarious. That's my baby out there tripping because it's bedtime for him. But I was gonna ask you. No. I was gonna ask you if there's a way I could, we could link up. I'd love to try to get him on the MellowDome. I love his vibes and stuff like that.
I think he like a great guy. Dude.
Yeah,
I'll hit him up. Fuck yeah, dude. I did stand-up comedy with the guy. Like, so he started, like he said, he started doing it in 98, and he quit his job and worked at a comedy club that he helped start. And then he started to have kids, so he got into a better, he got away from comedy. And then once his kids were grown up and out of the house, him and his wife really encouraged him to do it, got back into it hardcore. And that's when I started to see him. And we were all open mics together and stuff, and he would come to shows, and he's a really good dude. And he's so, like, every time I saw him at open mic, I was so excited because he's always so funny. Like, I would be in the back dying laughing, so because of that. And
it's cool to see him on a live show.
I hit him up because I have his number. Yeah, and he's just like, sure, dude. Because I did one with him in 2020, and then I hit him up earlier this year around May, and I was like, hey, you want to do a show? He's like, fuck yeah. I was like, yes, but it wasn't in the right place. And then I hit him up. I'm like, I want to start doing my show again. I'm like, who am I going to have on? Rodney, of course,
Dude, I had this guy call in to my show. I did a call-in show, first one on the MellowDome.
Oh yeah, I was watching that for a while, actually. I was hiding out.
Hell yeah. There was this guy who called in, and he called himself Musk Fan 01, number one Musk fan. And he came on to just like troll, right? And he was funny. That part. Well, he was funny. And I made a Chris, shout out to Chris. He made a little clip of it, clipped it out, put it on the channel. But he left on his own will. He left. He was just being a huge Elon Musk fan. But I went looking for him, and I found him. And he has this channel where, he's a comedian, and he has all these different characters. And one of his characters is a number one Musk fan, right? And he has like this, his whole concept is that he has this fake podcast, and he'll go and call into these live shows as these characters he's created. And it's like 2 hours worth of him calling into these live shows as these different characters. And it was hilarious. He was so funny. So, I'm commenting in the chats and stuff. I'm trying to get him on the show to come on as a guest, because I just think he's hilarious. And I think that'd be an awesome conversation. Like,
that
because
would be hilarious. I'd be interested
yeah,
in doing something like that too. Like, even if you want to do it on this
yeah,
show,
dude, that'd be awesome.
tell me
Yeah.
you know another comedian, because I could play a character too or something silly, like.
And you can tell he's like really trying to hone his comedic,
Yeah.
craft, and I like that,
Wow, that's crazy, dude. That's what I'm saying about this time right now. You could do comedy and he could get a following of people because he does this, and they could go to all these live streams and he could start making money from that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy. He could sell merch. Like, because people would ironically pretend to be his fan because he's faking it or whatever. Yeah, dude, that's brilliant. I love to see new comedy pop up however it does, because I really feel like if you can make people laugh, it's healing. We talked about that on Rodney Norman's thing, like, like Patch Adams, dude, that shit's real. Like, laughter is actually healing for people. So
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
faux shizzle. Yeah, so I like what we were talking about this realm, and then the energy thing, and after you die and then you're on the other side. And because to me it takes all the fear away from it. I think we're tricked into, and there's really no way, so you can't repress it. You still have to, I say, don't come from a place of fear, don't make decisions from a place of fear, but you're still going to feel what they call fear. You're still going to get adrenaline, so it's not like we could just because we're aware of this doesn't mean that we don't have to do the laundry.
Right.
It's just a better way to look at the world, because then you could kind of look at things as their tests. And how am I being tested right now? And like in Buddhism, they would always say it's Mara, like, it's Mara again. How's he trying? Like, the dude, like South Park, like Tree Fitty. It's just it's the Loch Ness monster trying to get Tree Fitty from me every day.
Yeah.
He's got to keep saying no, And after a while, the voice goes away and you start to listen to your intuitional voice. And that's when you create your art, and it's magical. So
yes, 100%.
You still got to do the dishes and put up with, that person, but at least you can learn that you can create things. Like, I drew some stuff. I got a cool little story. I drew like a bear roaring just with a pen, but it came out, everyone's like, wow. And I sent it to some people, and I sent it to Owen on Instagram because he's posted a couple of my memes before, but he's always changing stuff, right? But he saw it and he posted it on his story. So I was like, hell yeah. And I'm mailing it to him in a letter. That was the intent, but I'm like, why not give him a sneak preview now? But I put a quote underneath, and that's going to be the surprise. I didn't show that in the picture. So yeah. Good times though. That's what I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I don't know. I'm just enjoying life, and I'm, like my wife, we created a structure for our children. We have this like routine here. My wife necessarily really has more of the routine with them, but there's little rewards in doing things throughout the day too. It's not like, oh man, I gotta like do this and do that. I'm trying. It's all about your mindset, because then when you go and instead of procrastinating, you can go and actually accomplish all of these little things, and then you get a sense of accomplishment after. So even these little things can then boost up to more. It's about getting, we are creatures of habit, and we just need to start, finding good habits. Like I make sure to put down electronics and take time out with the boys. Like my oldest has a spelling list, and then he has to get the definitions of each of those words, and or flashcards, like just all of these things. And then when we're done and I'm actually watching one of my boys like learn something, and you see it in their eyes, you see it like click, and they're like, yeah. And then you encourage them with your tone and everything, and then they feel really good about themselves that they got it figured out, and you're like, yeah, great job. Like just watching all that is just a really good feeling.
What a robbery of that people do to themselves.
I was just about to go there, because
I don't have kids, but I could just imagine, like dude, like everyone's so excited to see their kid walk. Well, wouldn't we love to be there when they learn how to fucking read? You read?
Yes, like that's what I'm experiencing.
When they learn 2 + 2, don't you want to be there? I mean, I don't even have kids, but don't you want to be there?
Yeah.
When they learn about, when they learn about what the Civil War really was, don't you want to be there? Oh man, I could use this as a bit. Holy shit.
Yeah,
dude.
use it. And
that's funny.
It's a huge it's like I give it
don't
up.
You want to be there when they learn about what sex is? Come on, man. What are you out of your fucking mind? Don't you want to be there? You want to be you wanted to be there when they learn how to walk, but you don't want to be there when they learn how to fuck.
Like, why is that even being taught? No, that's my thing. I come to realize, like, we're sending these children off to people. I don't share these same morals or beliefs with these people. I don't even know them. And then the opportunity I do get to know them would be a 30-minute open house session where it's like a hi and bye, a couple questions, but you can't get into anything, important. You'll offend her or whatever, or him. And it's just, and then I get it. There's a lot of people, there's a thing called life, I'm fortunate enough where my wife can stay home. That's what we're choosing. And that's the struggle we choose to deal with one income. But I wouldn't change it for the world. And there's so much reward out of this because they're a sponge. They're learning 24/7. And this has just created such a close bond that with my boys. And they're not it's just weird, man. It's like they're little men. My oldest one is like little man, but he's still a child. And I feel like a little bit, he's more innocent than say a 10-year-old that's going to school. But then again, I'm not saying kids that go to school are bad kids. It's just that environment is not a really good place. It is an indoctrination camp. A lot of stuff that they teach.
That's the nicest thing you could say, or that's the nicest thing you could say, that it's not a good place.
Absolutely.
Look into what's his name? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to derail you. Go ahead.
No, you're good. You're right though. Look into the education system, how it was created and who started it. And before this Rockefeller funded textbook organization happened, it was the parents' responsibility to educate their children in the first place. And there was a time where children, before they were 18, knew how to write in 2 different languages, speak in like 3 different languages. They knew how to write a formal letter in beautiful cursive. There was better grammar. What an 18-year-old would know now, it's crazy. They don't even teach how to write in cursive, or there's so many things. There's no more music, which I feel like stimulates the mind entirely. It's such a motivational and a creative thing to why would you take that out of schools, and it just gets crazy. I'm glad to do this. I love it, and there's a lot of reward out of it. It is difficult at times, not gonna lie. Having 3 boys, trying to keep the 2-year-old distracted enough. He's getting to the point where he wants to sit down now at the table and have a pencil and paper, and he's like drawing and stuff. My 10-year-old, he can draw any character by looking at the character. Okay. And from Sonic to anybody, honestly, he does great. I'm just, I'm rambling right now, but these are all the benefits and the rewards of me crushing lately and just changing my life. And this is what I want to put out, because there's a lot of people who do have families, and like, hey, there's other people out there with a family. Like, I just want to be that representation for these people, for this person, this guy or girl, whatever, that's gone through these troubles, and like, look, coming out on the other end, on a positive tip, and yeah, it's just, I'm here for that. I'm here to put out them vibes, peace and love.
You ever think about having your wife on the show and talking about homeschooling?
Bro, it is so hard to try to get her on. I want to do that. Like, those are the ones. Yes, absolutely, man. Absolutely. She just doesn't want to. She's the type that she'll read the comments and then boom, she'll be done.
This is what you got to say. Let's go on. We'll just record something, not live. And if it sucks, we'll delete it. It's up to you. Say, yes. Right. That's what I did with Sharon, basically.
That is what I should do. We should do that. Well, we would have to do that anyways, because we'll both be in front of the camera. So there's going to be times where she's going to have to, like, she won't be able to be in front of the camera all the time.
You could do it while you're teaching them a lesson. You could just set up 2 microphones and a camera and bring them in.
Oh my gosh. Yes. That's a great idea.
Oh, I'm full with them, bro. I'm a
Yeah, dude,
legend if
I
you
could
haven't
set
heard.
something up right at the table because we do it out at the table and just show that like what's happening because I do record little clips and put in the Telegram group like this is what homeschooling's like, you know, and we should do that. Like I have a playlist on the YouTube channel that says homeschool videos and it's just a collection of videos I've found over time and I'll constantly add things to it that we use. We don't even necessarily play the whole video. We just use it to show a demonstration, spark a conversation, and then I'm trying to teach them. It's like a jumping off point.
Yeah, totally.
You know, and I do that with a lot of different things. And I've gotten, I've gotten things from retired teachers because of I work at a bar where I know there's a lot of people that come out there that are retired, and I've gotten a lot of great information and 3 reading binders full of stuff that we can use. Like there's so many things my wife has bought and used, and Najla has, you know, she's mentioned that she wants to create some type of group for you know, mothers and that are on an awakening and might feel like alone or how do I do this way? Or, you know, you're realizing certain dangers in medical field that you don't want to do anymore. Well, maybe you don't have the support around you. Right. So if we had someone like my wife that was willing to come on and talk with me or even have a conversation with someone like Najla, you know, that would be great representation. We need more women like that. You know, like that's awesome that you have Sharon on. I love your guys' dynamic. You guys are great. You know, you guys bounce off each other really well.
If she would agree to Najla, you should have her, Najla, and Sharon do something because that would be.
Oh yeah, man, that would be good. And
that would be
I
dope.
think if I can get her to do it, she would probably do it if the camera was off.
Yeah,
just getting her comfortable, maybe get her on with a couple of the girls and break the ice and do a recording. You know, I don't even necessarily got to be in here with her. I can just like hit record and walk off and have like Najla and like Sharon on just hit record and then I'll chop it up after
through Zoom and then they could decide to keep it or not if they want. That's a great idea.
Yeah, because that's what they'll be talking about, all that kind of stuff in Flattoberfest, end of October, flatearthfestivals.com.
Yeah, go to that if you can. It looks like it's gonna be a freaking epic time.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be fun. Hundreds of people will be there, like well over 400, I'm sure. You know, there's been like a lot of people at these events.
My dream would be to speak at those events and then sell books, stuff like that. Not just that, but all kinds of these events. I'd just go talk at whatever event because I could tailor it for whatever audience. And I could talk about Realm Earth. I could be like, hey, what do you guys think about this? You know, like I'm a Realm Earther. Everyone hates flat earthers. Well, guess what? No one hates a Realm Earther because I'm crazy. But it's the kind of crazy you don't want to. You're just like, oh, it sounds really smart. You're like, he's just a crazy genius or something like that. Or, you know, he's just, oh, he's funny with that silly view. We all know it's material, you retard, you know, like, but yeah, it's fine. Cause they kind of
hold on. Let me wipe away the photons from my eyeball. Okay. I can see it again.
I can see it last. The truth will set you free.
That material stuff will get you.
Yeah, that's why I think I could talk about it even on stage. Because I think these hot topic items like flat earth, no matter what side you're on it, it makes you feel a certain way when you hear that. So I think I can incorporate that into my comedy. I could just be like, listen.
I don't think it's as taboo as it was either. I think
no, but like in a normal audience, you know, it would still elicit some kind of like, oh, these guys are idiots, or this is cool, you know.
Right.
But I think it'd be funny because I would just be like, oh, these are words we're not supposed to say, or these are topics we're not supposed to talk about. Or really the way I want to frame it is these are words that are going to make it feel a certain way when I say them. And I'm basically going to be like, there's this word I'm not supposed to say. You know, there's like different classes of people these days. And look at me. I can't say this word, right? If I said it, you guys would get so mad or would just elicit this feeling in you. If I said this word, it's going to make you feel a certain way. I think I might just say, you know, the word is, guys, vaccine. You thought I was going to say the N word, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then people are like, what? And they're like, listen, I'm not going to even talk about that next subject. And then I could go on to like words. We're talking about words, focused on how didn't you feel a certain way? And then I'll be like, there's another word that I can say that's going to make you feel a way too. And, or another thing I could say that's going to make you feel crazy and flat earth, you know? And then I could just be like, listen, I think it's a realm, so don't even worry about those guys. Then I could just kind of go into goofiness about the realm Earth shit. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Even on a show, it'd be funny.
people do dig. They are more acceptable to like the term simulation theory versus flat Earth. That becomes so triggering for people, and really, to me, it's like, why?
And I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna
Yeah,
harness
you
it,
absolutely could.
but in a way that's like misdirection. Like,
Hmm.
no, those guys. And the thing is, they might think flat earthers are crazy, but they're gonna think a realm earther is just like a hippie, like, oh, he's just silly, like he believes in ghosts and aliens, or you know what I mean? They're gonna classify it there. So it's gonna be lighthearted and funny, you know?
Hmm. Right.
I think I can harness that. It's because I really feel the term flat earth is
Well, that's what I want to harness with the MellowDome, basically, because I'm into all of those things still. It's like, have you seen that new movie, Nope? Have you seen that yet?
nope. I haven't
uh,
seen it. Like, yeah, dude, I haven't watched anything in forever. It's crazy.
well, yeah, I'm like, because they got truth in the movies, lies on the
Yeah,
news,
no, I hear you.
so
I'm an old man though, remember?
yeah, you're an old soul.
I've watched a lot of TV. I'm 46. I grew up with it. Yeah, so I'm just taking a break for now, but I'm certainly a fan of things. Don't worry.
Well, there's so much like symbology in that movie, and I just feel like there's so much more to this world realm that we don't even, like the sky. How much do we really know about the sky? Of course, mainstream will tell us that it's a space and a void and a vacuum, blah blah blah. But what do we really know? What's up there? Like you just told me about the water, the heavy water, and
Yeah,
all of that shit.
the vapor canopy, baby.
Vapor canopy, yes, right here. I'm gonna be looking that up.
I'm
That's
gonna make bumper stickers that say vapor canopy for 4040. People
and
like,
then
is that a political statement? No, not at all. Just wait and see. I'm
do you
gonna be
know
even
who
more giant.
Papa Flurf is? Uh,
Uh,
his name is Flat Earth Philosophy on YouTube.
that sounds
He's
really
this
familiar.
really old guy, like really old little dude. Looks like a little horse jockey type dude.
Is he the one
And
that talks about the realm and everything and like
yeah,
has
how
a
it's
drawing board?
yeah, it has a white
Oh, yeah, I've seen a few
dry
of his
erase board.
videos. Please proceed. Yes, I'm very
Yes,
interested in that guy.
he kind of talks about the hemispheres, and he tried to like was explaining it as the same as the hemispheres in our brain. um it was pretty fascinating. I like his thoughts, and he says that there's this center, this black hole in the center where the luminaries and a lot of this stuff is projecting from. And you get a lot of stories of Mount Meru and the floating island, Hyperborea. Some would say even like the Fountain of Youth, maybe that's or Garden of Eden, all kinds of stuff. But his idea of this place not actually being as much physical, it's just fascinating. Here, I'll get a link and drop it in the chat for you guys. But he gets into a lot of stuff, and it's very different ideas than what you would normally get.
From like a mainstream flat earther.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I just like him, man. He's an old guy, and his thoughts are different. Because I think these, like with Crow, his idea with the sky, I'm on that. I'm on board with that.
Yeah. Yeah, Crow's he holds back a little, I think.
Oh, yeah, of course.
That's why I'd love to talk to him on another show, because it's like, listen, we're the Over Sharon show. You don't got to hold back. You got to overshare, Crow. Do it over here. The people who get it will watch it. It's not like everyone's gonna freaking see it, but we'll get a bump. But it'll be the people who get it.
Mm-hmm.
Because what me and Sharon, the way we start the show, we talk a lot about self-healing. We talk about the tarot. So people who don't resonate often say, we got a comment about this, that it's boring, right? But that's our defense, because we bore them because they're not ready to look into this stuff, and they just think it's woo woo, or we're just being silly. I'll tell silly jokes. They're like, this is silly. This is stupid. This is boring. But it's like our fucking defense, because we're a Trojan horse, so we can exist and go along. And then people who think it's funny and are like, oh yeah, that's cool, they watch to the end when we start talking about all these heavy topics.
Right.
Yeah.
All right,
Shout
just
out to
put the
all the
link in
people
the
who are in the
chat.
chat, by the way, for sticking around for over 2 hours. Thank you
Yeah,
guys.
man. Damn, we already went over 2 hours.
Yeah, dude. I don't care.
Shit.
Just let me know when you gotta
10:20.
go. I'm good for now.
Yeah. Shout out everybody, man. Much love. This is great, dude. I'm digging this. I love these kind of conversations. This is what I like this stimulating conversations. This is what I thrive for and look for when I go live. I that's all I want to put out is just stuff like that. That's what I look for when I'm getting on these platforms. I want to stimulate the mind. Let's go. Dish the gravy. I brought the bowl. I got the ladle. Dish the gravy.
Yeah, exactly. And people might dismiss you as like a silly stoner or something, like they would do with me.
That happens.
That's kind of what they would do with the Realm Earth idea, but it's cool because we're like a Trojan horse. It's like a parable. It's like a true parable of Christ, because in the Bible, Christ told these stories, these parables, to a giant crowd so everybody can hear his message, and people would get different stuff at different levels. To some people it'd be a funny story, to other people there's a moral to the lesson, to other people there's like esoteric stuff going on with he was speaking to everybody. And that's also what you can do with comedy in that way. It's great. But even when you're being funny and silly, people dismiss you, but it's good. You want them to underestimate you. You always want your enemy to underestimate you or whatever, it's fine, because they'll just go away, and then you could just ladle the gravy, as they say, and the people that stick around get it. And those are the people we're making, we're speaking to, because they're right around our vibration. They're doing a lot of similar stuff. They're healing stuff. They're creating art. They're growing gardens. They're teaching their children. They're doing all this stuff. Just some of us like to talk into a microphone and a camera because, we need attention. No, I don't know, whatever it is. For some
because
of us,
we can't shut up. That's
what else am I gonna do? It's either this or watch our cakes videos all night now.
Right.
No, I've actually been trying to consume what you would like call entertainment, I guess, more than try like looking into stuff, because I take breaks from this, because I go high level deep into looking into stuff because I don't have kids. I work just on the weekends as a wedding DJ, making a really good living. And I don't really have a lot of, I sleep on the floor by choice.
Dude,
I sold my bed.
I think that's so important for you to do things like that, to actually step away, because I do think I think a lot of people, don't have necessarily the family and stuff like that. They kind of lose themselves when they get deep in these rabbit holes. And I think if you go in these rabbit holes without any spiritual work, or to pause and really work on that inner workings, the shadow work, then you lose yourself, and you're the ego just eats you alive. You don't even see it.
You're just
I think
watching
that happens to a lot of
porn
people.
stuff all day. You're trying to get to the bottom of everything.
Right.
Sometimes it's good to listen to The Hobbit, or to watch a movie, or to take a break, or to go for a
Whatever
walk
it
in the
is.
woods.
Yeah. Go shoot some hoops,
Look
something.
at nature. Because if you're searching for truth, guess what? There is no lie in nature, as Crow 7 says. So when you're in the woods, you're surrounded by truth. That's why I believe that's why we're pulled to the woods. And like people like to go camping. Even people that have a trailer and watch TV when they go out there. I was talking to Spoons about that. She says her parents go camping in a trailer and they just watch TV. She's like, you could just do that at home, But the people so even then they're getting pulled in. And I think it's because they're surrounded by truth when they're in the woods, there's no signs and billboards and all this inversion of nature is what a city is, I believe. I think a city is a total inversion of nature. It's like a inverted creation of nature. So that's why they can appear beautiful a lot of times. I'm not disparaging it all the time, but people are
the concrete jungle.
Yeah, but on a certain level, they realize it's not as true as the woods are. So that's why they always flee to the woods, and there's truth right there. So if you're searching for truth, go out in the woods. That's what I got to say for you.
Yeah. Get out of the stacks.
Yeah. Or just get off your computer for a while, and
right.
For truth, you could go do it outside. Go
That's
swimming.
why I'm grateful for my wife, because it's like,
go play poker.
If it wasn't for her, it's like, I put a rope, tied it around me, and dove into some rabbit holes. and I'm getting lost, and she's like, all right, she's pulling me out of those rabbit holes. Like, you need to chill the fuck out for a minute. You're losing your fucking.
God bless her. She
You know,
sounds like an amazing woman.
yeah, she'd be like, babe, that's the craziest shit I've ever heard. You know, I'm like, no, no, no. She's like, babe, it's time to.
No, but you don't understand.
Yeah.
They're putting snake venom in the water.
Yeah. Watch the water. Watch the water.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but
Yeah,
serious.
dude.
Yeah, there's, and like, I'm not worried about a thing. There's a lot of people talking about, like, what was the date that just passed? Oh, the 26th or 24th, something was supposed to happen or some shit. Of course nothing happened. And
Yeah.
I just feel like we should just keep crushing and just, take responsibility for yourself. That's what we really need to work on. Like you said, there's a lot of people in the chat that, people who resonate here.
Much love to you guys out there.
Yes,
You don't even
absolutely.
understand. It makes my day. I looked and we had 22 likes and we had 24 people in the chat. I'm like, dude, we're killing it right now.
Yeah, dude, I love it.
I'm happy
man.
when one person listens to my show. Like, this is great.
Me too, man. I say that all the time. I'm just so grateful that people would even show up, because they're the ones that set the tone actually for every show. They come in and spread the love and saying hello to each other. And you see that type of online community. It's a good feeling, and it's like you're helping create it and be a part of it. It's cool. You come in and set the tone, and it's good for the rest of the show. But all these people, for me, it's not about the quantity, it's about the quality. Because a lot of the people I've met, and I'll meet more on these.
Understand that
my phone is listening.
Yeah, of course you wouldn't understand that, you bitch.
Evil bitch. And then and they understand that they're trying to take back their own responsibility for things. And a lot of people are growing stuff, learning to grow stuff, gardens, many things. Are homeschooling. We're having meetups, many meetups going on. It's just a good thing, and I love it. I love every bit of it. And that's what it's all about. We just need to enjoy life now and take control of it, and just, we're the ones we've been waiting for, and just do what makes you happy. There's so many traps out here. Even when you start your awakening, a lot of people can then fall for these traps and lose themselves. And
just like the new age, dude, same thing.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
The traps everywhere. Every method is a trap. I quote Ram Dass when I say that. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, man, it's wild. But again, I love this journey. I love this. I love it. Loving every bit of it. I'm loving this conversation, man.
Yeah, there's two things I wanted to say. I wanted to make jokes. So as far as snake venom in the water, listen, they've been putting fucking fluoride in the water. Yes. I don't know if you heard of this. And chlorine for years. I'm not worried about snake venom. All right.
Right.
Because I don't drink the chlorine or the fluoride either, allegedly. So anywho,
yeah, right. Have you not heard, motherfucker?
Yeah, right. And then what was the other thing I was gonna say? I can't remember now. It's all right, it'll come back to me. But yeah, no, dude. Totally. You get stuck in that, and that's where you can use plant medicines as a tool, where you can use it to, like a hammer, you could smash yourself in the face because you're watching truther videos and shit all day and just smoking weed and eating Uber. Or you can use it as a tool to focus your stuff or use it to work through trauma. And then you can also use it as an aid as you're looking into this stuff, because it could enhance.
Like I was a man that dealt with I didn't know what they were at the time, but I was having like major panic attacks. I was someone that I spent the past 8 years of my life escaping reality, right? To then turn around and face reality, and then have the veil lifted and shown that reality I was running from wasn't even actually reality at all.
That's a great way to put it. Oh my God.
Yeah. And it's like, it's amazing, dude. It really fucks you up. And I'm just so grateful that I have that idea and that mindset that keeps me going. It's just important. I lost my train of thought.
Dude, I always laugh when stuff's funny, and I always laugh when I make a realization. And that made so much sense about,
well, that's what it is. It's literally like that's what happened.
Yeah, because you're right. You wake up to the real world, but then you find the real world is just a total inversion of nature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Babylon or whatever they call it. I told my friend this, she's kind of a normie, and she was working in the actress realm and all this stuff, or trying to be a model or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to her about this stuff, and I was friends with her through another friend that they were married, and then the guy died, and it was crazy, right? So we bonded right before 2020, and then when that happened, they were all like masked up, and I was crazy.
Ah, man.
But she would still talk to me though, because we were both like, we were pretty good friends. So I think we're still good friends. It's just, you get it. Some people have to have their. But anyway, I don't want to get lost. So I told her about that. I said, listen, there's this concept that if you want to live in the city, just remember, and you want to do things in the city and in the quote unquote world, this is how the controllers, wherever, and this is how people get stuff. They realize that it's an inversion. They use it to their advantage, but then they so they could either trick people or scam them. But you can also use that knowledge to excel in life and become a famous actress and stuff, as
Right.
long as you do kind of do unto other type of thing. I think that you'll be okay. You can
Right.
manifest something beautiful in your life. Like Asha was on her show, it's going to debut this Thursday, and she's like, she wants to be like a billionaire so she could reach everybody.
Right.
And she could totally manifest that for herself. And it wouldn't be like she's an evil billionaire. She could lose herself along the way. Who knows? But she seems pretty true to what she wants to do. So it's
Well, that's
possible.
because a lot of people have this mindset that money is
Yeah.
evil thing when it's really just a tool.
Yeah, dude. Again, all these things are tools, and we have this conditioning because we were coming out of materialism.
Mm-hmm.
So we believe it's either good or bad. It's either evil, but we don't realize that things are on a spectrum. Like
Right.
there is no hot or cold. It's an illusion. It's just a temperature. Hot and cold are an illusion. They're a reflection of each other. It's like, where on the scale do you say it gets hot, and where do you say it gets cold? You just, we're just describing things. So
Yeah. What altitude?
yeah,
Really, it's all different.
yeah, totally.
Yeah, man. You mind? I'm gonna plug something. I'm gonna do some shame. Was that
Oh, you
shameless?
deserve it. We've been
No,
going
shameful. So
almost
shameful.
2.5 hours. So
Well, yeah, I got a couple things going on. I updated my website. If you guys want to check me out, that's the easiest way to find all of my stuff. MellowDome.live. A lot of cool links over there. Links to all my content. Rockfin, YouTube, TikToks is not necessarily. It's a totally different content, obviously. And then links to the Patreon, links to Telegram, links to the merch store that I have that's ran here by my wife. Great quality t-shirts, guys. And there was some, oh yeah, Breaking the Chains tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern. It's volume 7. I'm gonna put that in the chat. Gonna be a friend, Doug. He was in the chat earlier. Shout out to Doug. He's gonna be the guest on the next Breaking the Chains, which is tomorrow night.
live.
Yep, live. Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna do it live. Nice.
Gonna do it live. Fuck it, doing it live. Yeah, this is the baby. This is the one that I really yeah, this is one for the feels. This isn't like a normal show. We don't get into any topics like we just did here on your show or any other topics like we do on the MellowDome. This is about breaking chains, breaking addictions, and sharing that testimony out so others can, let me say something. I did the call-in show, and a guy called in, and a couple people called in and expressed their appreciation for breaking the chains because they had a similar story. I had shout out to Jonathan. He was one of them that called in, and then there's a guy named Matt Prince. He got on, and the audio wasn't that well, but I heard him loud and clear, and he was expressing his gratitude to me for breaking the chains because he had a brother who was a heroin addict, and he was like getting clean, and he's been clean, but his brother would play Breaking the Chains while he was around, and he would listen to it, and he would watch his brother like go through these emotional roller coasters, and tears running down his face listening to these stories, and was really thankful for hearing those stories. Like it was a release of bad energy. And it's kind of hard for me to say this now, keeping a straight face, but this is what's important to me. This stuff like this. So yeah, I hope to see y'all in the chat,
Listen, you could cry. It's fine. Because if you cry, I'm going to be like, I got Austin to cry, everybody. And then I'm gonna market it that way. I'm like, no, you gotta watch this show. He cried.
If you want to watch me cry, they're on Breaking the Chains. I've cried a lot on Breaking the Chains, and so have the guests, and so have the people watching. But they're good cries, and when you walk away from these, you feel so much lighter. And I know it's a lot. See, I don't ask people to come on. They've reached out and wanted to come on, like Doug has done.
Oh well, I would totally love to come on and
let me know. I'm for sure. Yeah, we'll do that. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Like I said, there's all different kinds of
that sounds like so much fun, man. I get to talk about me. How amazing. My favorite subject.
But no, like we even had someone on about their chains that they needed to break from cannabis, so there's something for everybody's different. Everybody, there's so much to this. It's not as black and white. There's many shades to this when it comes to the way how our mind works and stuff.
So yeah, dude. That was my chain.
So yeah, that would be a different one for sure. But
that's a commercial for you.
No, but you got a good story out of that.
I could tell you were saying, dude. I could tell you some stories that would blow your mind about places I've had sex and the girl. Yeah, dude, I'm telling you. Like guys would like gather around and be like at work at the job I work. They're like, what'd you do last night? Like, oh, and it's not like I was.
Oh my God.
It's not like I was this anybody big. I was just like I am now, just walking through life, but I was using my powers to bang instead.
Right. Exactly. And that's what, dude, that's so what happens.
I'm actually
that's
super
what these
awkward.
People are doing.
Sorry, go ahead. See,
no, but you like what you were saying before the show, how it brought you to this different outlook on life, and that's the part that we try to capture, it is, yeah, because we don't want to do these shows where it's just we're not trying to glorify any of these addictions, if you will, but it's more of a release, because now they're also on screen representing themselves now in the present, having those chains broken, and also there's also been people who have came on, because there's times during Breaking the Chains where I dropped the link, and people who are currently still struggling with addictions are still more than welcome to come on and be a part of the conversation, because everyone's at their own journey. Everyone's at different stages, and you just got to be there for one another. You know what I mean? It's what we do. So,
yeah, no, dude, I hear you. That sounds amazing. It really does. And it's great because you're helping other people heal, and they're healing themselves, though, which we always say, it's like people like us, maybe our message is healing to people, but they're healing themselves with this message.
Yes.
I think we believe that as well. We're not the ones, because that's where I think the ego comes in, and then it's like, oh, it's me doing it. But also
they have to want it
to people, because literally that's what I believe, because I believe everything works off of your belief. So if what you said or what you say convinces somebody of a new way that's possible in the world, and they cement that thought and they live it, it's going to become a reality for them. So you basically help them build this reality tunnel out of that by what you said, but they did it for themselves.
Yeah.
They did all the work. It's, you're basically like a mason, and there's people on the first day of job, and you're like this master mason who's built, not a Freemason. Everybody.
I'm a shill.
Listen, you're free and you're a mason, but not a Freemason.
Yeah, right.
That's another key word I could play with. That's in the zeitgeist that you're what? Freemason? What are you, conspiracy theorists? No, I'm talking about a Freemason, like he's a mason, but he's
dude, I remember watching those first documentaries. Remember they came out, and you're just like, oh man, The whole world's
secret
fucked.
societies, like they're gonna
Yeah,
teach you about it on the
zeitgeist.
History Channel. They're gonna
And
tell
like
you,
the
oh, zeitgeist,
it was
dude.
a locked up Earth. It had like a cage on the Earth. Prison planet.
Zeitgeist is what put me onto 7-Eleven.
Oh yeah, me too. Me too.
Holy crap, that was a crazy movie. Yeah, dude. I think that's super important though. That we've like kind of evolved past that stage, and now we're realizing that it's more about putting it into action.
Mm-hmm.
And by us constantly pestering people to get a show and me constantly pestering you to do stand-up comedy, the world's going to be a better place.
Yeah.
And you constantly pestering your wife to record, you pestering James and Najla, who we're going to get on the Over Sharon show soon. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
But she's going to come on the show, and I'm super excited about that because
Yeah, man.
that feminine energy is going to be great. And I consider myself, I'm a man. I was in the Marines, I allegedly got guns, whatever. Anyway, but I feel like I'm in touch with the feminine side. I'm like that.
Well, there needs to be a balance. There is
Exactly.
people call it a duality, but actually it needs to be not a duality, but it helps each other. There needs to be this balance, it
Yeah.
helps. There's times where we need to be like that for our significant other, and times where we need to have the masculinity. It's times and place, but then again, society has perverted it and materialized it, and it's a huge shit show.
Yeah.
No,
I hear you. The best way I could describe it is I'm like an elf in Tolkien, right?
Hmm.
Because the elves were born under the stars, so they represent more of the feminine. But there
Yeah,
were some fucking heroes in there that were like real badasses. If you go back and
badasses,
read
bro.
The Silmarillion by J.R.R. Tolkien, that book,
Are you
man,
watching that new series? Oh, you're not.
no.
You say you haven't been watching. Dude, there's so many truth bombs and references in there. Holy shit.
The Lord of the Rings one?
Yes,
Oh,
it's
I thought it was all
crazy.
woke.
I don't know. I stopped watching after the first couple shows, but the visualization of the layout of the place, like they had these two trees that
Dude,
represented like the sun and the moon.
I just realized they're giving it a smear campaign because it has truth in it. So even though they got like a black elf or whatever, like
Yeah,
who
because I
cares?
didn't get the woke vibes in the couple episodes I watched.
Oh shit, I gotta watch it now. Son of a bitch. They tricked me. They got me. Those damn Jays. I don't know. It's a journey from A to Z. I'm past the Jays, but those damn Jays.
I gotta watch some more of it though. I could be wrong though. I gotta watch some more, but
Well, even if the first few episodes have a little bit of truth,
I
it's
dug
enough.
it. I was like, holy shit, that's so cool. Like, what's going on here? Back up, rewind. Like, wait a minute.
Oh, that's great. Oh, all right, maybe I'll check it out then. Yeah, because that's how I feel. And then when I describe Sharon, and she even says this too, she's more like in touch with the masculine as a woman. So that's why our flow is the way it is, it's really amazing. And because of that, we're kind of like the inverse. And it's funny because I'm a Libra rising, and she's a Libra sun, I believe.
I gotta
So the
be
way
able to remember that on cue like that.
yeah, well, and the way we're able to communicate, but it's funny because it's an evolved relationship. Because I was saying this, there's things that I do that annoy her, and there's things that she does that annoy me that could get either of us to spiral, because I'm one of these people that's just like, don't worry, we'll just start the camera, it'll be fine, right? And she wants to be very planned out, right? Which is great, because that's why it makes it so great. Because sometimes we do shows where we take extensive notes and we go by them, and sometimes I'm like, we're just hitting record, baby, like,
Yeah,
and so
we're
you
winging
see
it.
that. Yeah, we're doing it live, fuck it, that's what we always say. So even on the episodes we don't do live, if we don't have notes, we'll just freestyle it. So it's cool. There's a really good balance because of that. And because I believe it's evolved, because we're able to not be a note, we're able to let that stuff go and connect on a different level. It's really cool. Shout
Yeah,
out to
man.
Sharon.
Shout out.
Yeah, we put up with each other. It's great. We're like brothers and sisters. That's what I said. We're like a brother and a sister,
Yeah, man. You guys put out awesome vibes.
Yeah.
Love it.
It's awesome too.
So yeah, I'm gonna go.
Yeah. Wow. We've already been going for over 2.5 hours. Okay.
I gotta hold on.
No, I hear you. I just want to say too about your phone. The last thing we'll say, I think that's a joke, a cosmic joke from the universe, because you were playing all this truth and your phone's like, I don't understand.
Dude, you know, that's like the fourth time it's happened during the show the past month.
It's like a
Like
cosmic
on
joke
cue.
because you're ladling too much truth for the average person to even comprehend.
It triggers the algorithm, you know, and it's
Yeah,
like
you've
click
blown
glitch.
its
What?
mind. You're like, I
Yeah.
don't understand.
It's
What do you
like
mean you don't
no
want $1
one's
million
talking to
in
you.
a Porsche? No.
Right.
Why aren't you Googling new shoes? Yeah, and that's kind of what Jason Brashears describes as breaking away from the system.
That's why I wanted to say about because the whole money thing, because people want to treat money like it's evil and stuff,
yeah.
you know, but you know, there's like this another psyop, like, you know, they say the truther, you gotta be like broke and miserable. The truth must be free, da da da. It's like, well, I'm not here selling the truth. You know, I'm not here. I'm selling t-shirts and shit. I'm trying to build a community and also trying to support this because all of this does cost money, right? But that necessarily it becomes a psyop. Like, why wouldn't you want to support others? Like I support people that are doing their entrepreneurship and they're supporting me back in return. And if we had more of a system like that, you know, like imagine if we had a community that did like foodscaping where, you know, the homeowners association usually makes them do like zoysia grass or St. Augustine, right? And you got to spray and you can't have weeds and da da da. But what if they were told that they had to have a garden in their front yard and then like fruit trees in the backyard? And there was this whole foodscaping process, you know, and people had to trade food every so often. And, you know, there's so many things that we can just do, just little things that'll just make the world a way better place, like right here and right now, you know. And a lot of people, again, in this chat know that, and people are moving closer. Like, shout out to Owen Benjamin, he's crushing, creating places, and everyone, you know. Then there's these nomads that can go in between and to and from. And, you know, I just see a beautiful future for people who have a mindset like myself or like yours, and, you know, positive outlook on life. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate you having me on here, dude. This is epic.
Yeah,
Literally,
man.
I enjoyed every second of this.
Yeah, I'm just dropping links in the chat. Shameless plugs. No, I totally freaking agree, dude. I just put the link to my book that I wrote in 2021. 2020 and 2021 I wrote a book, and it's not totally finished yet. I really got to go through it one more time, but I have it up for donation for in a PDF form and an EPUB form, and it's good enough to read. You know, Caribe Root, shout out to her, she read it and loved it. And I asked for a donation of 1111.
Nice.
Funny, but or whatever, you know, I've given it to people for free. I don't care. Some people give me like $1 million. No, some people, you know, give like $20 or $22. Yeah, it's cool. It was really fun. It was very healing experience. That's what we talked about with Woodshop Air last night. So
Oh yeah, you said you had a meeting you wanted me to remind you about. Is there anything else you wanted to share?
Oh yeah, in the meeting I was talking to the guy who was talking about comedy and stuff, but that's all right. I want to kind of end this where we did, because I think it's a really, well, you know, maybe because it's synchronicity and you remembered, I'll talk about it really quick. So I had a meeting with a guy who's asked me about comedy. It was okay. So I'm a wedding DJ, and I was doing a final meeting with people, and it was the bride and the groom. Their wedding's in like a month, or no, it's like in 2 weeks. It's pretty short. And so he was asking me, because I told him I did comedy. So he's like, "Oh, who are your favorite comedians?" And I was like, "Owen Benjamin. You heard of him?" He's like, "Oh, I think I heard of him." And then I was asking him about other stuff, comedians. I was trying to think of them, and then he started to name like Bill Burr and like Tom Segura. And I'm like, "Oh yeah," because I was like going for the old guys. I was like, you know, like Patrice O'Neill, he was really funny, right? And so he started to say that, and then he was saying these names, and these people I used to find them hilarious, but now they're like cringe, you know, because they're not talking about 2020. It's like, if you're not talking about 2020, you're not making me laugh. I'm a South Park fan, you know, like from the old days.
Crushing.
Talk about what's going on. Not that they do now, but I'm just saying back in the day they did. So, but I held myself back, and I just was like, yeah. And then I bring up Louis C.K. and he's like, yeah, but he was like, now he wants to talk about like jerking off and all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I guess you're right. But like Tom Segura talks about, I don't know, it's funny. He was he was saying it wasn't like politically correct. I think.
Dude, I haven't listened to Tom Segura in a while, dude. And I used to listen to Kill Tony a lot, but then I stopped listening to that.
Yeah, I don't want to. It's like watching the new Star Wars. It's like, why would you want to watch them destroy?
Oh, that is such a good represent. It is like that, man. Absolutely, you're right. I want to just keep it the way I remember. I'm not trying to.
Yeah, because even the prequels have such a great message in them. Like, even though it was like goofy.
Yeah, goofy. All
right. Well, I will let you run, sir. Just so you guys know, my website is morelawsmoreproblems.com. Go there. It's a blog that I've been doing since 2013. It's coming up on 10 years I've been blogging there. Not that I wrote on it heavily or extensively, but I was reading something I wrote from 2013, and it's like basically echoing what I'm saying now, just in a different way. It's so crazy. I'm like, wow, I didn't realize I was onto all this stuff so early, like with the self-healing stuff.
Yeah, dude.
Like meditation and all that stuff. That's when I was first getting into it, but I had this understanding of it, and now I think I have an even better way to express it. And I've been writing a new book, which I'm really excited about. It's probably going to be pretty short, which is even better, and an easy read. You know, I'm taking these ideas that I found are very complicated, but then there's other people that have written about them, and then other people that have made videos about them, and I'm able to like get this information and distill it down into even a smaller essence for people to understand, you know, just like simple things. The way I explain it is I used to work at a car dealership, and I was in the service department, and I used to know a lot about how engines work because I worked on airplanes and stuff when I was in the Marines, but I wasn't good at fixing them, or I wasn't interested in fixing them as much. Like I fixed my own motorcycle and stuff, so I know how it worked, but I could explain it to people in a way they can understand. I could simplify it. So it was very lucrative for me, but now I find I could do it with these ideas that I talk about. And the most important one to me is self-healing. I like to talk about realm earth and all that stuff, but I'm not going to write, well, maybe I'll write a book about it, but first,
so if I send you a donation for this book, and then I send you the address or something.
Yeah, if you go to that website, I put it in the chat.
I'm here right here. I'm gonna Zelle you
a donation. Yeah, Zelle me, and then I'll just email it to the email.
Okay, bad. True.
Yeah. True. Oh, you're gonna love it. It's kind of like I wrote it in third person because I was writing it more like because I was writing articles and stuff like that, and so but I talk a lot about my life and stuff. But some people are like, it's a little clunky because I'm like the author instead of saying me, I'm like the author, you know. So that's what I think I'm gonna go back and change. But you still get the message in it.
Still comes across well, right?
Yeah, that's what I've heard from people who, you know, like to read. So
real quick, shout out, your chat's awesome. And there's people, if you haven't heard of the MellowDome, 9 a.m. Eastern every Sunday is the Awake and Bake with myself and 3 of my friends, my brothers. You got Chris from FMX Editing. He's the editor of the MellowDome, chief editor of the MellowDome. Then you got Mike LeBrash, THC Show, crushing over there with Chris, his co-host, Chris, the other Chris. And then you got James from Grounded Extracts, crushing over there, healing people with healing products from this beautiful place, this beautiful realm that is here for us. And also Wednesday night, 7 p.m. We do other shows. We have guests, and then I do watch parties of classic videos, FE videos, do all kinds of stuff. Breaking the Chains tomorrow night, and we only just started. This is just the beginning. So
I'm gonna send your Breaking the Chain show to my friend because the one that with the heroin.
Yeah.
He'll watch stuff if I send it to him, especially if it's not like because he likes Trump, you know, so he doesn't like when I say that Trump stole our bump stocks. But but stuff like this, I think he'd watch because it'd be great. That's what I like about stuff like this. That's why I like to do this stuff with Rodney, because we're not making any heavy claims. We're not talking about the moon, you know what I mean? Like
right. All right,
we went to the moon. Fucking Jim Carrey. All these people, right? We went to the moon. You saw that clip, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude. Jim Carrey is, oh my god, he's awesome.
I can never figure out Zelle. I'm gonna do Cash App.
Yeah, all right, that's cool.
Appreciate you, bro. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man.
Everyone in the chat, much love. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, dude. This has been great. We got to do this again. And I'm having, just so you guys know, Shout out to James, actually, from Grounded Extracts. I've used a lot of his stuff. I love his products. The CBD oil is amazing. I put it in my coffee every morning. Best Earth. This is
I
what I'll
love
say
Bester.
about it. So I got over smoking weed daily. We'll talk about this more when we do your show. But I would do it every day, and I don't disparage anybody. Listen, it's a great tool. I get it. But I just wanted to try to come out of it. So I took it off for a month. I smoke tonight. So listen, I'm not making judgments here. So I took it off for a month, and I realized when I smoked again, I was like, fuck, I'm getting high again, like I used to, like when I started. And I think I needed to be in that realm to get certain stuff done on days, especially writing. So, and I think that's why I started to do it, because I knew I was going to write again. And this is months later that I started, but I still go back through once in a while. I get high at night and I'll go back through it, but I think I'm able to like chug along and get it done. So anyway, I'm telling this whole thing. Oh, you know what? Like a classic stoner. I think I lost my point. What was I talking about?
I love it.
See, we're even now. As you're trying to go, I'm like,
yeah, no. How many times I do that tonight? I'm gonna go back and listen. I'm gonna be like, man, I sound like an idiot. I can't remember what I'm talking about.
Oh, I don't even care. I'm over that shit. Because dude, this is why I want you to go on stage. Because once you go on stage a bunch of times and you say something that is funny and you laugh, but people just grunt or whatever, and then you learn what bombing really is, and you're just like, oh, this is hilarious. Because I would say that if I wasn't doing well on stage, I'd be like, all my friends, they ask me to do comedy, like, what's it like to bomb? And I'm like, it's like this right now. This is what it's like. And that always gets a laugh from people. Because I'm like, I get it. I'm bombing. Like, don't worry, lady. It's a joke to me, and it's harder when you don't have the instant feedback. Like, you got the chat, but like when you're up in front of a stage, you get that instant feedback. So even just for that, it's
and you can definitely feel that energy being in person too. You get the whole
and
vibe of the crowd.
Do a live show, dude. That's what you should do. Do a live MellowDome somewhere, maybe at Flat Earth. Maybe.
Yeah, dude, that would be awesome, right?
Then you get to hear the feedback right away. People can interact. I've done live podcasts before, like at comedy clubs. It's crazy.
Man, I would love to do something like that. That would be so great.
Yeah.
And you're giving me a bunch of cool ideas, dude. And like I said, just the beginning. I just started doing this, so and I'm enjoying it. This is
live
great.
Show, it would enhance your all that stuff you're worried about. Like, it would go away, because you'd be like, oh, these people, they love the mistakes, because it reminds them that I'm like them. Mm-hmm. So when you mess up and stuff, people,
and that's what I want too. And I want that. I want it to be genuine. It's coming from a genuine place. I've made mistakes plenty of times, and I feel like I've bombed or, sounded ridiculous. But, you think about it, because I've been doing live streams, and you get like these people in the chat, so many people. When you think about it, you put like, say, 70 people in a room, it's like I'm doing that, just not in person, So if I could just get the same way I had to get over the idea of turning a camera on, and I would have to get over the idea of doing that in person, in front of a crowd,
Just picture them all naked.
Yeah, right. That would probably distract me too, though. Get all weird.
Yeah,
all right, brother.
I do a lot, man. Definitely. I hear you, man. I've been there for a lot of people's first times, and I'm also a wedding DJ. So I always,
oh my god,
a microphone to somebody to do a toast or a speech, and they're always nervous. So I'm always like,
have you ever heard like cringe ones, like the ones that were like meant to derail the vibes of the wedding or anything?
Yeah, I've heard some crazy shit, but people usually just laugh. Like they're pretty good. But I've seen like this guy go on for like a half an hour one time. Like, it was crazy. Like, the venue was like, we got to serve the food. What the fuck's going on right now? And I don't care, because I'm paid to play music, and I'm just sitting back laughing. It was hilarious to me, because it was so weird. But he was a good speaker, but it's just like, dude, this isn't even your wedding. Like,
dude, I've been to I had a friend. I've been to his wedding. It was a great fucking time. Me and my wife went. It was great time. Great time. Flattoberfest will be a great time, though. I can't wait for that. Gonna be kicking it with James and Najla. a bunch of great people.
Especially when you guys do a live show.
Bro, we should. Damn it, man. I think we're gonna try and do something like that. I think that would be fucking awesome. I'll just like go live at the table, you know, like if we all go to a restaurant together, I'm just gonna like put the phone at the table, boom, hit live, and he's gonna be like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "We're live right now." And there'll be like everyone else at the table at the restaurant eating.
I bet you could find a bar that would host it in the area, and then you could just like a comedy show. You get it if they have a stage or if they do bands.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I'm telling you, man. Be like, listen, we're gonna bring like 30 people, and they're all gonna eat.
Right?
They might drink, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing ideas out there.
Ideas. I love them. I like it.
Oh, dude, I put on so many comedy clubs in so many horrible places, but it was always worth it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't want to keep it any longer, but the stories I could tell you. Like, you walk into a place and they're like, all right, and people are like, there's comedy tonight. And they're like, oh, fuck, I just wanted to come here to get out of work, And then you got to like, hi, everybody, I'm going to talk about my dick for 5 minutes. All right, great. Like, it's fucking, dude, it's so, but it's funny because it's so cringe,
Right?
Because
oh man, dude, sense of humor. Well, that's the thing, man. People need to learn to just enjoy some fucking comedy, man. Stop taking it up the ass so much or taking it personal. Enjoy yourselves, laugh at yourselves sometimes, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I've had you for almost 3 hours, so I'll let you go. But yeah, we'll continue this conversation.
Yeah, man, for sure. Yeah, we got to have you on now. Now we got to bring you back over here to MellowDome. So
yeah, dude, anytime. Trust me, anytime. For sure. Except the weekends, but other than that, I'm fucking ready to roll.
Right.
All right, bro. Have a good night. Shout out to the chat, everybody. Thank you guys. While I walk over to the end stream button, we really appreciate it. This is the best way you could support us, by just being here in the chat, leaving comments, hitting the thumbs up, subscribing, all that stuff. That's the fun. Like, I don't do this for the money. Yeah, send me money, buy my book, go to morelawsmoreproblems.com, donate, send me money, but that's not why I do this. I do this because it's healing for me. So screw you guys. I'm going home. Good night, everybody.
Love it. Peace and love.
I ended it with a fucking South Park reference.
Nice.